San Diego.
This is San Diego sports. The wins, the losses, the moments that matter, and the opinions that come with them.
Padres have clinched the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 05 and 06.
No hype, no filter. Just the truth about your teams, your city, and the people who care about it most.
The reality is the expectations are higher now for this club than they were in 2019 and 2020 when the Padres hadn't made the playoffs that many times.
He's been here. He knows this city. And now he's leading the conversation every single day. Live and local on 97.3 The Fan.
This is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
Well, what's up, San Diego? Happy Thursday, everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're on each and every day from 10 to 2. Live and local. Talking Padres baseball. Padres on a 5-game winning streak. Round of applause. We haven't had that in a long time, it seems like. Yeah, there we go. It's been a while, it seems like. It's good to have the Padres back at a winning streak of more than 4 games, something that has eluded them for most of this season after their 8-game winning streak they had earlier in the year. Kevin Acee talks about that a little bit in his daily newsletter. But overall, I mean, this is a Padres team right now that is finally starting to hit their stride offensively. And look, I understand it's against the Marlins, who had lost 9 straight at the time. I understand it's the Rockies, who might be... I feel like I say this every year. Every time I see the Rockies, every year, it seems like they become the worst team again. The worst team ever. I mean, the defense this week for Colorado was just absolutely putrid. I mean, just putrid. But the Padres took advantage of it. The Padres sweep them in a 2-game series. It'd be nice if they can extend that winning streak a little bit more. Padres find themselves a game and a half out of a wild card spot after yesterday. Wow. I'm going to table that for a second. YouTube chat's back. Squirrely is back. He got out of the sin bin over Detroit, it seems like. Squirrely's back. We got a character in the YouTube chat. It goes by Squirrely. Didn't see him the last couple of days after a squirrel was taken into custody for trying to go streaking in Detroit. Squirrely's back.
For trying. He's successful.
He avoided like 35
he was
ground
darn
crew
successful
members.
with that.
Hopefully he's okay after flying over out of Lodi Tavares' glove.
By the way,
did you see his Instagram post, by the way?
No.
Tavares' Instagram post?
No.
He had an AI clip of him running away from a squirrel. And the squirrel was like huge. It was hilarious. Hilarious. Absolutely hilarious.
By the way, non-negotiable. Show trip to Seattle next Wednesday. Me and a couple friends are going. So we're out of here.
Oh, nice. Have a good time.
You're coming too.
No. Goodbye.
It is
morning.
Jimothy night.
I don't care. Tomorrow morning, football starts. My life drastically changes. I don't have time to do anything starting tomorrow, which means I cannot leave for 2 days. Have a great time.
You will not live this season without a rally Jimothy on your sidelines.
Well, you better go kidnap Jimothy up in Seattle and bring him back then.
What do you think the plan is? I need as many hands as possible. Did we not see what just happened in Detroit?
I think you're going to need... You know what? I think that's great for Trash Panda Autosport to figure out. You guys are in the off-season, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, well, perfect. Go wrangle some raccoons. Go for it. Okay.
Not an raccoon.
Jimothy.
The raccoon.
The raccoon. Okay. All right. You have fun with that. Okay. Back to what we were talking about before I was distracted. But I was glad to see Squirrely got out of jail over there in Detroit. Padres have played themselves into a 1.5 games back behind Philly and Arizona. I mean, the collapse by Philadelphia in this second half has been fun to watch. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. If you factor out the Padres series, between San Diego and Philadelphia. If you factor that series out, okay, and this is what Ben did yesterday. The Phillies right now would be 51-52 if they didn't play the Padres. The Padres, on the other side of things, would be 55-47 if they didn't play the Phillies. I mean, talk about like one bad stretch for the San Diego Padres having to play the Phillies at their like height of the season. I mean, Philadelphia was terrible before they played the Padres. They got on a little bit of a hot streak right before they played the Padres. They kicked the Padres' ass, and then since then have fallen off again, and they are one game under 500 the way they've played this year. They've had a rough second half of the season. Pittsburgh's had a rough second half of the season. Miami, of course, has had a rough second half of the season. Washington, rough second half of the season. If it wasn't for the Cardinals walking off the Cubs yesterday, they still have had a rough second half of the season. I mean, even without the 5-game winning streak for the Padres, going into these last 2 games, the Padres went 500 on the road trip. They stayed at 500 after starting the All-Star break or going into the All-Star break at 500, and they picked up 2 games because everybody that they're competing with stinks. I mean, Arizona is in the number 5 seed spot right now. That's not a very good baseball team. They're playing a lot better. I will say that. They've won 6 out of the last 10. That's a big series next week, but you got to take care of business against the Giants this weekend. And I think you're starting to see, again, we talked about this all week, and then Jake Cronenworth mentioned it. He thinks this is the true identity of this Padres team. I don't think like a week changes that. But I will say, if you want to say that this is the true identity of the offense of the Padres, I will buy that. I don't think this is the true identity of the pitching staff. I mean, the bullpen's still beat up. It was good to have Jeremiah Estrada back. They need David Morgan back. They need Jason Adam back. And it'd be nice to add a piece maybe at the deadline. We'll talk more about the deadline here coming up. But, the pitching staff right now is rough. And it's even more rough than you would think. And everybody keeps asking the question, like, is this sustainable, this chaos pitching? I like the chaos pitching. I think it's going to work for a little bit of time. I don't necessarily know if it's going to make it. I don't know if it's going to work for the next 2 months. I think this would work in October, to be honest with you. I think this would actually work in the postseason. I mean, didn't we talk about that at the beginning of the year with how good the bullpen was for the Padres when you were talking about spring training? It's like trying to piece together the starting rotation. You're like, well, you just got to kind of make it to the trade deadline and maybe add one piece. But when you get to the playoffs, you don't really need a lot of starters. You just need guys to be able to get outs all over the place. And the Padres have a bullpen that can do that. But they also need the offense to continue to do what they're doing. I mean, the offense, if they would have done this like a month earlier, and they've done a great job, okay? If they would have done this a month earlier, the Padres are probably the top wild card team. And I don't even think that's crazy to say. I mean, after the loss that the Cubs took last night, the Padres got a victory. The Padres picked up a game. They're now 6 games back in Chicago, which is something to watch. I think, I view the wild card right now as I look at it with the Padres. Like, obviously, Arizona and Philly are like, now you're in the thick of it with those two because you're a game and a half back from Philadelphia. You have now you've pretty much caught Philadelphia. So now, scoreboard watching, it's Arizona, Philly, and the Pirates because they're right behind you. Maybe the Marlins and Nationals, although I don't think the Marlins and Nationals are going to be buying at the trade deadline. And the standings are starting to correct themselves, if you will. What did we say a couple of days ago, Frank, about the standings, about who the teams you're actually competing with?
Arizona, Pittsburgh, they're falling apart, and they're difficult schedules too.
But Arizona and Pittsburgh, right? Mm-hmm. And that was before. That was Miami was like right behind you. Washington was still in front of you. St. Louis was still in front of you. I mean, you have successfully passed 3 teams in the standings in the span of about a week and a half. And the teams that we didn't think were going to be in contention by the trade deadline, Miami, Washington, St. Louis, you have passed them all now. So the standings, if you take a look at the logos in the standings, it's starting to really balance itself out. It's starting to regress back to what you would expect it to be. Now the Padres have a chance to potentially get the 5th seed. That didn't seem likely a couple of weeks ago. And if you put the pressure on, and I'm curious to see what Chicago does at the trade deadline because they need pitching in a bad way. Their pitching cost them last night. They've been able to outslug most of their pitching problems. If you could pull that within 5 games, I mean, they're within striking distance too. The problem is you lost the tiebreaker there, but it would be nice to pass Philadelphia in the standings and keep them in the rearview mirror, especially since you lost that tiebreaker against them this year. You still have Arizona you can win a tiebreaker against, but don't have to worry about St. Louis at the time. And I don't think you're going to have to worry about them next week. I think they're going to start to fall apart, and it sounds like they're open for business to potentially sell. That's kind of in a good spot for you. And right now, the teams that are surrounding you outside of Philadelphia are all teams you still control the season series against, like Pittsburgh, who comes to town later this season, like Miami, who comes to town later this season. 7 outstanding games against Arizona left, and 4 of them are next week. I mean, there's a lot of you can control a lot of your own destiny here with about 50 something games left. I don't know how they have put themselves in this position. I mean, think about a week ago today. They were lining up to play Chris Sale. They would already been playing Chris Sale right now, and I think at this point in the morning last week, it was starting to slip away from Griffin Canning. And I said on Friday the team was done. And in the matter of 1 week, just by winning a couple of games and the fact that the rest of the National League wild card stinks, the Padres are well within a playoff spot. And as Ben Higgins mentioned on the roundtable, they win one of those. They win the game a couple Fridays ago in Kansas City. They're in a playoff spot. They win They win the game last Thursday against Chris. They don't blow that game or win one of the 1-run losses that they had to Atlanta. They're in a playoff spot right now. So they have kind of lucked their way into this position. I don't know how sustainable this chaos pitching is for the next 2 months. They're going to have to get some starting pitching help to make it through the end of the season. But they have to, Frank, they have to take advantage of this glorious opportunity that has been given to them. They've earned it too. They've won the 5 games in a row, but the rest of the National League is giving them this opportunity to take hold of the National League wildcard spots.
Yeah, and you really do have to take this and run with it. San Francisco is not a good team. I understand they just came back and won, 16-3 against the Milwaukee Brewers yesterday, but that was after, they actually won that series. So they are on a little bit of a run right now since the All-Star break. San Francisco has lost 2 out of 3 to Seattle, got swept by Kansas City, then won 2 out of 3 against the Angels, and now 2 out of 3 against the Brewers. So they are on a little bit of an upturn, but this is still not a team that is worth any sort of worry. I mean, they are not a great team. This is a team that you should feel confident in, at the very least splitting with, if not taking 3 out of 4. This is a huge, huge deal for the Padres right now to be able to at least draw this series with San Francisco and to take what this National League has given them, which is effectively a free playoff spot if they're willing to grab it.
Scores to pay attention to this today and this week. There's still a couple of teams that are playing longer series that end today. Cubs and Cardinals are one of them. They're going to get underway here in just a little bit in St. Louis. That's kind of that game right now is you kind of want the Cubs to win, so you have to worry about St. I don't think St. Louis is going to buy. So no. I don't think you need to worry about St. Louis anymore. I mean, if they start climbing a little bit, it's going to be on you a little bit more than them. I think they actually sell some pieces, so I wouldn't be worried about St. Louis. I think you have to have the eyes up, keep climbing mentality. And right now, the next team on the list is Chicago. You're 6 games back to Chicago. A loss today by the Cubs in a series where they split with St. Louis and a Padres win. I mean, you can knock that down to 5. It seems a little bit more realistic as you try to climb some ground. I know you don't want to get greedy, but it's time to get greedy. The National League has given you an opportunity to be greedy. So Cubs and Cardinals will be on in the next hour or so, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
They
11:15.
They're 11:15 start. So that's a big matchup to pay attention to. You start new series this weekend as well. Pirates and Reds will be in action today. That will be at 4:10. That's one to pay attention to. Obviously, hoping the Reds can take care of business against the Pirates. The Reds have not been very good. Sounds like the Reds are open for business and listening on some calls for some of their starting pitching. Maybe the Padres can line up there on a potential deal. Marlins and Mets. Marlins just swept the Philadelphia Phillies. If you're a Padres fan, you're rooting for Frank's Mets this weekend as you hope the Marlins lose a couple of games. Although I don't think you'd be that worried about the Marlins in the second half of the season. I don't think they're going to buy at the deadline.
No, I don't think so either. I think that they've had a really rough go of it going into and coming out of the break. And this sweep against Philadelphia is great, but they have more questions than answers right now.
And the last game is Braves and Nationals. You're looking from a Nationals perspective. You passed them in the standings already. You only have a half game lead on them, so you could use some time to definitely. This is a big weekend where the Padres can really separate themselves from the rest of the pack if they have a good weekend, and the way the schedule lays out. I mean, you look into weekend series that we haven't talked about. Cubs got the Yankees this weekend, so that's something to watch for this weekend. Phillies going to Baltimore. I don't necessarily know how confident you would be in Baltimore beating Philadelphia, but the way Philadelphia is playing right now, I mean, they're on a tailspin. Cardinals will be in Toronto to take on the Blue Jays this weekend. Diamondbacks got to go to Cleveland. Cleveland's no slouch. I mean, Cleveland's battling for a playoff spot right now in the American League. We already talked about the Nats and the Braves, the Marlins and the Mets. And I think that's basically it in terms of scoreboard watching for the Padres. And they got 4 games against the Giants. So we're just getting started today. Bob Scanlan's going to join us at 1:35. We're going to talk more about yesterday's game, what went right for the Padres. We're going to talk more about this chaos pitching. We're going to look at the national outlook on the trade deadline. We'll get to our NFL training camp report at the 1 o'clock hour as well. We got a lot to get to. We're just getting started on the Braden Surprenant Show, Static Summer Sports Station 97 through the Fan. NFL training camp officially here. Biggest story, not just football, but everything that's on the line going into training camp for these NFL teams. Defending champions Seattle Seahawks are trying to become the NFL's first repeat champion in over a decade, but they've lost some key players and coaches. Meanwhile, 5 teams are holding quarterback competitions, including Cleveland with Shedeur Sanders, Atlanta with Michael Penix Jr. and Tua Tagovailoa, Las Vegas with Kirk Cousins battling a first-round draft pick, rookie and Fernando Mendoza. Adding new coaches, stars returning from injury like Patrick Mahomes and Nick Bosa, and veteran free agents still waiting for contracts. Training camp is loaded with storylines. Football is finally back, and the race to Week 1 officially begins. Frank, football is officially back. You got to see the training camps out there. Teams will be starting training camp throughout the week. I'm looking forward to finally seeing some NFL football. And last Sunday was the last Sunday without football for the remainder of the rest of the year. So should be good to have a lot of good football back. But, the biggest storylines entering camp, starting with Seattle as being a team that's trying to be the first team to repeat in a long time.
Yeah, it will not be easy for them. Seattle's lost their offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, along with several key contributors from last year's championship roster, including Kenneth Walker III, Reek Wolin, and Kobe Bryant. Head coach Mike McDonald now has to prove that last season was not just a one-year success story. His new offensive coordinator, Brian Fleury, takes control over the offense. So Seattle, they have a very, very tall task ahead of them, and a lot of new names and a lot of new places.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like just down the coast, the Rams, I mean, in that division, right? I mean, got to be able to make it through your division if you're thinking about repeating as a Super Bowl champion. The Rams entering camp with enormous expectations. I mean, they traded for Myles Garrett and Trent McDuffie. They added Jalen Watson. The Rams have assembled one of the most talented rosters and talented defenses to pair with an offense that features Matt Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. Oh, and by the way, Aaron Donald could be coming back. I mean, Sean McVay mentioned he hasn't made his decision yet. Aaron Donald hasn't made his decision about maybe coming back out of retirement for one more Super Bowl run. But Aaron Donald comes back to this team. I mean, the Rams are not only the team to beat in the NFC West, they could be the team to beat in the NFC and even in the NFL.
Yeah, and Aaron Donald's held workouts there over the last couple of weeks, so he is very much getting into football shape and getting ready, seeing if he can handle another full season grind after being away these last couple of years. That would be a huge get for the Rams. Wonder how much of an impact he'll make, having been on the sidelines for these last few years. But still, I mean, a name like Aaron Donald coming back to that defensive line to pair with Myles Garrett, that is absolutely massive for the Rams.
Quarterback battles, fresh starts, quarterback competitions will headline training camp around the league. In Atlanta, you got Michael Penix Jr. and Tua Tagovailoa battling for the Falcons job. In Cleveland, all eyes remain on Shedeur Sanders as he competes with Deshaun Watson for the Browns' future under center. Raiders will determine whether veteran Kirk Cousins keeps rookie Fernando Mendoza on the bench, while the Vikings have an intriguing battle between Kyler Murray and J.J. McCarthy. Arizona also enters camp with Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, and rookie Carson Beck, all competing for the Cardinals starting job. Elsewhere, there's a lot of several veterans begin fresh starts with new teams. But let's just talk about the quarterbacks for a second. These are major quarterback battles by a lot of, I would say, middle-of-the-road quarterbacks that are good enough to win you games in the postseason. I don't necessarily know a lot of these guys are Super Bowl caliber quarterbacks or franchise caliber quarterbacks, but you have competition in a lot of areas. Competition does, breed success, but there are a lot of tough battles in Atlanta, Cleveland, Las Vegas, Arizona, and even Minnesota. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Kyler Murray is going to win that job.
No, I don't think so. And Michael Penix Jr., he's lined up as the quarterback of the future for the Atlanta Falcons, and then you bring in Tua Tagovailoa after what happened with him in Miami. I don't see how Shedeur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel really stay away from Deshaun Watson just based on take the job away from Deshaun Watson based off of Watson's contract and what Cleveland gave up for him. You're going to have to give Deshaun Watson a chance. So I think that would be the case there. I don't see a world where Fernando Mendoza wins the starting job over Kirk Cousins. I'm one of those guys where you keep a guy on the bench for a year, get up to speed, sit under the learning tree for a year.
Especially with that team and the talent that they have. You're
Exactly.
going to get him killed in his first year. Let Kirk Cousins get killed. And then if you need to put him into action later in the season, you can. But as you mentioned, I think it's a lot. But most of the good quarterbacks in the NFL kind of waited around a little bit to kind of get their bearings and then set up for success. Let the Raiders draft another bad spot and then get some help for a guy. 10:23 on a Thursday. Braden Surprenant Show, setting his number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Talking Padres baseball here today. Padres tonight against San Francisco. Let's talk about
Francisco.
Okay.
Francisco.
Rengifo is taking on Francisco tonight. San Francisco, to be exact. Okay, let's talk about yesterday's game, and then I want to talk about Ethan Salas, because I sat down and watched the El Paso Chihuahuas game last night, start to finish. They kind of ran out of gas. The pitching staff wasn't very good. They're throwing a lot of arms that I've seen before, El Paso, and usually those are the arms that I've not seen do very well at the major league level either. Johnny Brito did not have a good day yesterday. Neither did Alec Jacob. But let's talk about the Padres game first. Padres have suddenly looked like a team that is beginning to justify the belief the organization has maintained all season, which is this team is good. Our team is good. Our team is good. That was hard to hear from, like about a month ago, Frank, was it not? No, we're still good. We're still good. Are you? After a frustrating first half filled with inconsistent offense, pitching uncertainty, San Diego's now won 5 straight games. They've climbed back in the National League playoff race. We talked about that in our opening segment. And while it's too early to declare them obviously as a solidified playoff spot, the recent stretch has definitely reinforced that they have enough veteran talent to make a legitimate run if the key players continue producing. And why this feels legitimate? Well, you have 5 consecutive victories. You've climbed 2.5 games in the standings, and you jumped 4 teams in the process and moved to the edge of a wild card spot. There's still 54 games to go, which means there's a lot of baseball left. They could come back down to earth, right? They could also go on more of a run, if you will. But it's honestly, how many people 2 weeks ago were like, they can't do it because there's too many teams in front of them? I mean, I thought they could potentially climb this ladder a little bit, Frank. But I thought it was going to take a little bit longer than this. I mean, they jumped all 4 teams. 4 out of the 5 teams they jumped within like a week. They're getting blessed with how poor a lot of the National League teams are doing. Now, Craig Stammen emphasized that good teams eventually find stretches where everything comes together, where the offense heats up, where the defense remains solid, pitching starts clicking simultaneously, and you're starting to see that right now. This is the expected progression that he kept saying. You got to give Craig Stammen credit, man. I mean, he has been, beating the drum of staying consistent. Let's follow our plan. It's going to pay off. It's paid off in 5 games. There's a lot more to go. But, good for Craig Stammen to sticking to his plan, sticking to his guns, staying positive each and every day. It's starting to work out for him, Frank. It is. It's starting to work out for him and his team.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the Padres to have this turnaround, yes, it is partly due to the schedule and the way the schedule is. But right now, I mean, you have to also do your part. You have to win these games. And right now, they're doing a very successful job at winning these games and playing to the ability that they know that they have.
So here's the notes that Kevin Acee had about playoff teams that I thought was interesting. Since MLB expanded the playoffs, 96% of playoff teams have recorded at least 2 separate 5-game winning streaks. That's why this last winning streak is a little significant. The Padres could check that off the list. The Padres already had an 8-game winning streak earlier this season and now have another 5-game winning streak. We actually get to play it. It's great.
We won a game yesterday. And if we win one today, that's 2 in a row. We win one tomorrow, that's called a winning streak. It has happened before.
And we played that right before they went on this winning streak, so it counts.
100%.
You guys are welcome. Padres are welcome. Historical context is interesting there. That number doesn't surprise me because teams that are usually good. How many times do we have to say this? You're going to win 60, you're going to lose 60. It's what you do in the last 42. That really matters. In those 42 games, you kind of go on winning streaks. And that's the difference between being a 500 ball club and being below 500 and above 500. There's a couple winning streaks mixed in. But I think that makes this week very significant, and they need to be able to continue it. They can't afford to not just keep racking up wins. I don't really care who the opponents are at this point. I honestly don't even care how well they play, as long as they're getting victories. We're at the point in the season now, Frank, where you don't care about style points. You're caring about just getting W's.
No, exactly. Style points don't give you an extra half a game. You just have to make sure that you have more runs than the opposing team come the end of the 9th inning, and that is all that matters right now. How you get there does not mean a thing. You just have to get there.
There are 2 times, I think, in sports where you absolutely care about how you win. One is the beginning part of the year in a baseball season because it's so long you're trying to figure out if you're really good or not with all the flukes. And number 2 is college football because it's stupid and you have to put together a resume and show off how good you are and all. Those are the only two reasons. Like, you don't care about style points in a lot of leagues. You just care about winning. College football, you care about style points. Beginning part of the baseball season, you care about style points to see if like any of this is sustainable because you got to play so long. That's basically it. You're at the point now in the season where you don't care about that anymore. A big reason why this team is playing incredibly well is because Manny Machado and Jackson Merrill are carrying the offense. I mean, we've talked about this the last couple of days. It's great. It's probably the biggest reason for optimism right now. This is the storyline going into this year was the Padres were really banking on the guys they gave most of the available funds for player salaries needed to carry the team. And right now, I mean, Fernando had another good day yesterday. He went 5 for 5 on on Tuesday, sorry. And then Machado and Merrill. I mean, the guys with the big contracts are producing the way you want to. 16 of the Padres' 27 runs during this streak have come from Manny Machado or Jackson Merrill's bat. And more importantly, they've both been hot since mid-June. Their July production suggests this isn't just a random 5-game spike, and this Padres team was never going anywhere without these two playing like stars. And it goes back to like how this lineup is shaped. You expect Miguel Andujar to come back at a certain point. Samad Taylor could be coming back. You added Luis Rengifo to this team. I mean, maybe one bat at the trade deadline, and this offense looks way better when the guys that you paid the money to be the backbone of this offense are producing like it. It makes it seem like there's way more depth in this lineup and way more depth on the bench.
Yeah, and this team has done everything that it needs to do as of right now in order to get to where they need to be. And whether it's the offense finally starting to turn around, whether it's just patchwork pitching that's actually doing the job right now. I mean, Kyle Hart and Griffin Canning performed very, very well yesterday. And those are two guys that you've kind of, this could be interesting when they've gone in there. But those guys did their job yesterday, and that's all you really need to ask from this team right now is just do your job.
We're going to talk about those two when we come back. But the trade deadline philosophy has changed. I don't think the trade deadline philosophy has changed with the organization. I think they were going to buy anyway. And who knows what happens the next 4 days, if that changes anything. I don't think it does. And I don't think a weekend in Miami was changing what this team was going to do. Unless they got swept and they lost 2 games to Colorado and they just really played their way out of it, I still think this team was always going to be buyers. I mean, I think this is more for the fans to just be on board with it. But the organization still believes they need starting pitching. Everybody does. Left-handed outfield bat, another late-inning reliever. That is what the Padres are looking for. So is everybody else in Major League Baseball. So we'll talk about that when we come back. We got to get to break. We will also talk about how versatile and important Kyle Hart is to this equation and what he has done over the last couple of weeks, especially after that outing against Kansas City. We continue the conversation next on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Summer Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. MLB Trade Deadline is less than a week away. It's a week from Monday. It's August 3rd. And the biggest question isn't just who gets traded. It's what those moves say about each team's ambition. The Dodgers are in their own category, World Series or bust. Teams like the Yankees, Braves, Brewers, and Rays are contenders in their leagues, but they have to decide whether now is the time to go all in. Padres are one of the most fascinating teams, of course. They have the talent to compete, but the big question is whether they need another frontline star to become a real October threat. Meanwhile, teams like the Mets and Giants have to decide whether to sell after disappointing seasons. The trade deadline doesn't just reshape rosters, it reveals which teams truly believe they can win a championship. Every year leading up to the MLB trade deadline, we spend weeks asking the same questions. Who should buy? Who should sell? Who needs pitching? Who needs offense? But sometimes the most important question isn't what move will a team make? It's what does the move tell us about how the team sees itself? That's the idea behind MLB's ambition tiers on MLB.com heading into the August 3rd deadline, because every trade tells a story. A team trading for an ace is saying, we believe this is our year. A team adding a bullpen arm is saying, we're close, but we're not going all in. And a team selling while sitting near contention, is telling everyone we don't think this roster is good enough. And with so many teams still fighting for playoff spots, this deadline could reveal which franchises truly believe they belong in October. Let's start with tier number 1, World Series or bust.
World Series or bust, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
I think that's basically it.
Tier 2,
Okay, moving on.
Contending sustainably. The Yankees, Brewers, Rays, and Braves. These are franchises that expect to be competitive every single year. The Yankees might have been in tier 1 if not for injuries, especially the uncertainty surrounding Aaron Judge. But if Judge returns healthy, New York immediately becomes one of the most dangerous teams in baseball. Atlanta are interesting because they have experience making aggressive deadline moves. Alex Anthopoulos has shown he will trade prospects if he believes a championship window is open. The Brewers and Rays are fascinating because they think because they have reached this position without spending like traditional contenders. So the big question is, well, number one, do they finally push all of their chips into the middle? And two, with you being a part owner of the Atlanta Braves, have you thrown your hat into the ring here with Alex Anthopoulos?
These 4 teams in particular, I don't think the Yankees have interesting enough prospects to make too many significant moves. The more we look into this because of the fact that they were interested in Mason Miller and Adrian Morejon, the more I just go, I don't really like what they have to offer. And especially if they're not going to offer George Lombard Jr. I mean, they have the 26th best farm system in baseball for a reason. I mean, they have a couple of good players here and there, but notice the names they keep dangling out there. They're players that aren't very good. It's like Will Warren is not very good. I mean, even a team like the Padres that needs starting pitching, it would be a mistake to get a guy like Will Warren. He's not that great. He's not knock your socks off. Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez. I mean, these are guys that the Yankees don't want anymore. And if they're going to make any type of significant trade, they're going to have to give up a Dax Kilby. They're going to have to give up a George Lombard Jr. I see they add at the fringes. I don't think they have the capital to potentially actually add what they need to add. The Brewers, until they go all in, I will refuse to believe that they will ever go all in. They haven't shown that once over the last handful of years. They've made the playoffs, I think, 7 out of the last 8 years, and they've gotten bumped by the Dodgers in almost every single one of them, or they have failed to advance in the playoffs. It's because they take away from their team more than they add to their team at the deadline. The Rays are always a little cautious, right? They don't have too many resources. I don't think they go all in, but they'll definitely add at the deadline. And the Braves have the ability to go all in, and I think Atlanta does after the last couple of seasons of being disappointing due to injuries, plus the fact that they never really know if they're going to have a full team going in October or not. They always get some rough injuries here and there, but that gets us to tier 3 and teams that can make noise in October. I mean, it's like the Phillies and the Cubs who have, they're both, if they combine teams, they'd be really good. Cubs have no pitching. Phillies have no offense. Red Sox are just on a resurgence right now. But, I mean, everybody wanted that entire front office fired about a month ago. Mm-hmm. The Guardians are always around, right? And Seattle takes another big loss on Monday, and their schedule is difficult, and it's going to get even more difficult. And they got no offense. And the thing that they have is pitching, and their pitching is not really helping them out right now. I mean, this is the most interesting group of the bunch.
We spoke about it on Monday's show about Lance McCullers, who got DFA'd by the Milwaukee Brewers. And how willing would you be to take a flyer on Lance McCullers, who's coming off of injury, but he has been a frontline starter for a contending team in the Houston Astros? Right at the very end of our show on Monday, the Chicago Cubs, who, what have we said about the Cubs all season long? With how many pitching injuries they have had, they need starting pitching. They need pitching more than anything else. They just DFA'd Jameson Taillon. I would be so much more willing to take a flyer
All of our guests join us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We'll be joined by Bob Scanlan coming up at 1:35. Our weekly hit with Bob. Didn't get him last week, right? We didn't. Or did you have him early last week?
All-Star break.
All-Star break. That's right.
Everyone deserves the All-Star break off.
That's right. How did we work?
That's good. Adam.
Too late. It's 2 weeks off now. 2 weeks late. 2 weeks late. Anyway. All right. We're going to talk more about this Kyle Hart situation, the chaos pitching here in a second. But I do want to get to your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Dexter in Spring Valley, fresh off of Comic-Con from last weekend.
Fresh off a contract extension with Golden State.
With Golden State. What's going on, Dexter?
Hey, fellas. Yeah, I had to take a week off to recover from the show. It was pretty busy. And it was great to finally meet you guys face to face. Really quick, that guy, Nick Coscos, he really needs to get onto a higher brand of helium because it's affecting his brain. All those reports. First it's the Padres, now it's Detroit. Yeah, whatever. Okay, so chaos pitching or pitching chaos, that's a Detroit thing. I think what we're doing, what Stammen's doing, is more of like trying to control the chaos of losing, right? So whenever anarchy reigns on the streets, what happens? The police call out the riot squad, right, to rein in that anarchy, the craziness, the chaos. So why not call what he's doing and call our pitching, call it the riot squad or the riot boys, because that's what they're trying to do. And so far in 5 games, they've been able to manage to do just that. They've been able to rein in the anarchy of losing. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out at you. And, we got the Gigantes tonight. Let's go ahead and see if we can take at least 3 or 4 from them. Go Padres.
Appreciate the phone call, Dexter. That's a cooler name, I guess. The Riot Boys. Sounds like a comic. Sounds like a superhero group. The Riot Boys. I get the chaos pitching. I think it's better than the Ella's trying to push the quilt stuff. Assembling a quilt, whatever he said. I don't think that's catching on, Frank. I really don't. Sorry, Chris.
No.
Did you hear that during the roundtable?
Yeah.
I was just kind of like, no. Shh, no. We're not going to do that.
It's big at knitting club, though.
Foul.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
You gave yourself a tech for that?
Yeah,
that's a little egregious. A regular foul.
I don't know
fine.
if
I think it's a common foul.
I was sitting on that one though. I was trying not to say it, and then discipline escaped me, so that's why I get the tech.
There it is. All right, let's talk about the pitching staff. Kyle Hart yesterday. He has been kind of an important piece to this roster. I mean, since suffering a brutal extra inning loss after allowing mostly weak contact against the Royals, which he's already talked about it, and he talked about it again in the in AC's newsletter about how it doesn't matter, they lost the game. He doesn't care about the weak contact. It just it was unfortunate, but they lost the game. That's all that really matters. But since suffering that brutal extra inning loss against Kansas City, he responded with 6 2/3 consecutive scoreless innings. He's been an opener. He's been a bulk reliever. He's been middle relief. They've used him in high leverage. His reverse splits make him especially valuable. He's actually better against right-handed hitters than he is against lefties as a lefty, which is interesting. But that flexibility is becoming essential as San Diego navigates its unconventional pitching strategy until starters return or until they maybe add a starter. Has Kyle Hart turned himself into a weapon for this pitching staff, Frank?
As an opener, probably. I think
I wouldn't really want to use him in high leverage.
He's not a starter. He's not a high leverage guy. He's typically your long relief guy. That's what he's there for. He's the guy to eat innings. He's the guy to basically do what Ron Marinaccio was doing before he got released. I think he's kind of turned a corner. He's looked fine. in these last couple outings as an opener, what did he do? 2 2/3 yesterday. So I mean, he's been serviceable for sure. I don't know if this is just he's having a good stretch or if there's something more to it, but he's been just fine.
He has, but he is pretty versatile. I mean, he could start a game for you. That's probably as an opener. But yesterday, I'm glad that they employed we're not just going to have him throw one inning. We're going to have him go until he has to face
until he's done.
Until he has to face Goodman for a second time, right? And then they let Canning go until he had to face Rumfield for a second time or whatever it was. But
through 2 2/3.
2 2/3 did not allow a run, 2 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts. It's perfect. It works out. So you can use him as an opener. You can use him as middle relief. You can use him in mop up time. I think that adds some more versatility to this pitching staff. And Eno Saris was on with Ben and Woods earlier this morning about employing this different kind of strategy because for so long, Major League Baseball and just baseball teams in general were you can either go 1 inning or you can go 6 innings. That's kind of like what you were looking for on some of this. But I like the kind of chaos pitching that they have. I don't necessarily know you can make it through long stretches because, as Ello mentioned today on the roundtable, you do need these guys to pitch well. I mean, this doesn't work if none of them pitch well. This is not like anybody can employ this or deploy this and be like, okay, cool, this is going to give us out of our bad pitching problems. I think they're getting the benefit of the doubt of some of the teams that they're playing so far, but Griffin, Canning giving you 3 innings of no run, 1 hit baseball, 4 strikeouts. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You'll take that. Wandy Peralta gave up 1 run. He gave up the only run yesterday on 2 hits. Bradley Rodriguez pitched 2/3 of an inning, did not allow a run. Estrada, 1 clean inning. He did walk 1 guy with 3 strikeouts. Mason Miller looked dominant, as he always has. But I think with the way that this bullpen is assembled, you could do this. And if you get when you get David Morgan back and you get Jason Haddon back, I think it makes this kind of style a little bit more dangerous. I think this is better for October, so it's good that they're getting some practice in now. I just hope it doesn't tax the arms too much in games where things go awry. But I think this is a recipe for success. I mean, you still use the same kind of pitchers you thought you were going to use yesterday, but you went more with the piggyback. I mean, let me tell you this. Let me ask you this. If your starter yesterday went 5 2/3 innings and allowed 3 hits with 7 strikeouts, you would take that, would you not?
Yeah.
At that part in the rotation, whatever. Stammen yesterday, I thought it was funny in this post-game press conference talking about, I think Cassaville asked him when Buehler was going to pitch next, and he was trying to go. He gave the coy answer, right, of he's going to pitch the next 5 days after his last start, and then they had an off day mixed in, so he was trying to figure out the math. But he's like, where he normally pitches in the rotation. I'm sitting there listening to this, going, what rotation are you speaking of? Who is in this rotation? What do you mean in his spot in the rotation? What was yesterday's spot in the rotation? Was that your 2 then? Because King's your 1? At what spot was the rotation at yesterday? Is that your 5th spot when Kyle Hart goes in for Canning? Is that your 3rd spot? What is the rotation spots right now for this team? I couldn't tell you what they are. But if this is your 3rd, 4th, or 5th starter, it's not your 2, because I think Buehler's theoretically your 2 right now, which is a little scary at the same time. But if this is your 4th part in the rotation,
yeah, I would say
you would totally take this kind of performance that they had yesterday. This is great.
I mean, if you're looking at the starting rotation, the best way to do it right now, if you're going day by day by day, it kind of looks like Buehler's the 1, King's the 2, yesterday was 3, Sears 4, and then you have another piggyback tomorrow, or another piggyback, tomorrow. That would be your 5.
Well, let's look at it.
That's kind of how it looks, the way it's based off of right now.
Let's look at it this way. I mean, if you had, you could even go Buehler's your 5. Let's talk about it from this perspective. Okay. And I need a pen for this because this is where I have to like write things down, which really derails the show. But you know what? I got to do what I got to do. So if you look at it for this kind of just came up in my popped up.
Here
in my
we
head
go.
Real quick.
Well, I got
so I got it.
A marker and whiteboard here. Ready
I need to
go.
write things down myself. So let's just say let's say you got Buehler then King. Let's say Buehler's your 5. Because what did Buehler get at? Why did you bring Buehler in here for? To compete for the 5 spot, right? He's really your 5.
If I spelled his name right.
King is your 1. So you need a hole for 2, 3, and 4. If you get one guy back, Pivetta or Musgrove, okay? Let's just say one. Put them in like the 3 spot.
In the 3?
I don't think they're going to be a 2. I mean, do you think they're going to be a 2? Are they your number 2? I mean, I don't think they've pitched well enough to be a number 2. Let's say you do that. You trade for Kevin Gausman. And then your 4 is this like chaos deal. And that at that point that could be a bunch of different names there. But you would essentially have King, Gausman, Pivetta / Musgrove, Chaos, and Buehler as your rotation. Maybe for the month of September and October. I mean, you can win with that with the bullpen you have. Now, you'd have to, with adding some of these guys, you obviously have to take some guys off the roster. But if you
Giolito's with everyone else at number 4.
Yeah, he's also in the spot where he's he could be part of the everyone else deal. But if you look at the pitchers right now, that would leave Estrada, right? That would leave at this point Marquez, but I think he might be coming off the roster. Matsui, Miller, Morahone, right? You got Peralta. You got Rodriguez, Sears.
But Randy Vasquez on there?
Yeah, Vasquez. And then you have, let's see what I have. What am I missing? Hart, Canning, King, and then Buehler. So those are your pitchers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's your 13. All right, so Buehler's still on the team, right? King would be on the team still. Okay, that counts. You would add Gausman, Pivetta, Musgrove, and then you'd have Chaos. So in order to add, you start lopping off some of these names to make it the best 13 you can. I don't necessarily think you can keep. Sears is probably one that's off. And let's just say you get one of Musgrove, Pivetta back, so he's only going to count as one. So that gets that guy on the board. Marquez, I don't think survives. I think let's just replace Gausman with him. And then you have, Canning, Hart, Estrada, Matsui, Miller, Morahone, Peralta, Rodriguez, Vasquez. You can't really do anything with Vasquez in terms of sending him down. Maybe one of these guys gets hurt. You still have to worry about Morgan coming back, Adam coming back, and Giolito coming back. If that's the case, I don't know how long you could keep Canning on this team if that's the case.
Are you seriously suggesting Kevin Gausman, or are you using his name as just insert any traded piece here?
I just think he's a guy that they could potentially get for relatively cheap.
Okay, because he's going to be a rental this year.
Right, correct.
He's a free agent.
I think that, it's either him or a Peralta. I don't think they're going to be able to snag some young, controllable player. I really don't. I don't see that being the case. Because I saw was it Hunter Green today that the Reds were throwing out there, or was it? I
would have to assume it would be Hunter Green, but
it would be him,
Hunter
right?
Green hurt?
It's either him or Chase Burns. I think it was Hunter Green.
No, didn't Chase Burns sign a?
Well, so did Hunter Green. I mean, they're both under contract for a couple of years. I think they were dangling those kids. 3 years of Hunter Green 2 years of Hunter Green after this, and a $21 million club option. I feel like you're going to need to give up a Salas for that. I'd rather not do that.
No, it's 1 year. 1 year. They bought him out of ARB 3. Oh no, it is 2 years. No, you're right.
For Hunter Green?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got 2 more years left to control.
Yeah,
after this year for 15.3. He only counts as 8.8 towards the AAV. I'm going to table this. We're going to get back to this later on. I do want to get to the national stories about the trade rumors. But as you can see with this chaos pitching, if you add one pitcher to this group and you get one guy back out of Pivetta and Musgrove, it's not a crazy approach to October if you make it that far. We'll talk more about that later on. Trying to get the liner sheet to load. That's always fun. 97 through the fans trade deadline coverage is presented by City Cruises Live. Experiences done different. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Setting us over on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Talking about the pitching staff. I think I figured out what I would do with the pitching staff with this chaos pitching. Got some names coming back potentially. What you add at the deadline, maybe. What it would look like in the month of September. We'll talk about that later on this hour. But we've been doing this at 11 o'clock every day leading up to the trade deadline, and that is our update around Major League Baseball with our trade deadline update. There's a lot of rumors out there. The latest, the rumor we got earlier this week, things are going to heat up on Friday, which is tomorrow. We'll see if that happens. But what's the latest on the trade deadline? Throw it to Frank.
Favorite music bed that we're going to play every single time now. One thing that's...
Why?
Because people love it.
People love it.
The fans love it. Really quick, this one came down yesterday. The Texas Rangers... Oh, let me get the trade here. The Texas Rangers traded infielder Angel
Gesundheit.
Ardenoto?
Sure.
Sure. To the Angels for Chase Silseth and Logan O'Hoppe. O'Hoppe was then immediately sent down to AAA. He was optioned to AAA. So first trade has hit the trade deadline last night. The Texas Rangers and the Angels making a deal.
The Angels traded for a guy that's not on anybody's top 30 prospect list. He's not on any prospect list. And then they sent him Logan O'Hoppe, and who else did they send?
Chase Silseth.
Okay.
It's right-handed pitcher.
How about this How about this if you're Logan O'Hoppe? You play in 75 games at the big league level this year. You're with the Angels. You're not having a great year. You get traded to Texas, who's at the top of the standings in the American League West. Oh, this is great.
And they're catching situations that they have.
And they're like, you know what, man? You're gonna go to Round Rock. You're gonna go just outside of Austin, Texas, instead. You're not gonna be with the big boys.
Well,
guy gets traded from one of the from the worst team in Major League Baseball, and now he has to go Now he has to go play in AAA in the PCL. That sucks. That sucks.
Not great.
Not great, Bob.
You know what else is not great? His Baseball Savant page. That is also not great. There's a lot of blue on
reference
that.
Page.
There is a lot of blue.
I guess that's better. I guess that's better than getting traded than getting cut.
He's got a 61% barrel, 61 percentile barrel percentage. That's good. Nothing else is above 30,
as
though.
Frank Marchese would say, that's cool.
Yeah, there's nothing else over 30, though.
That's cool.
As a matter of fact, most things are under 10. Moving on, Hunter Green. The biggest surprise of the day, ESPN reports there's a legitimate chance Hunter Green could be traded by Cincinnati. Just 27, one of the most team-friendly contracts in baseball, and he's also coming off of arm surgery. If you're Cincinnati, would you trade Hunter Green right now?
When it comes to these teams that are selling, you have to factor in when do we think we're going to be good? And when is our window of opportunity to be competitive? And if said player does not fit our window of opportunity, it's time to part ways. I look at the Reds, like if you want to look at who's under contract for the Reds, the two guys that are under contract for the longest time are Ke'Bryan Hayes, who they got last year in the trade deadline deal with the Pirates, interdivision. How's Ke'Bryan Hayes doing this year?
Ke'Bryan Hayes, believe it or not my week to watch him.
Oh, my God.
Believe that one or not.
Oh, my God.
Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Remember when everybody thought he was like a better third baseman than Manning? Remember that? I guess he defensively, maybe. Ke'Bryan Hayes, he's only played in 56 games, so he's been hurt. Or maybe he just got sent out. I think he's just been hurt. Ooh. He's got a 142 average with 426 OPS. It is the worst he has ever played in the history in his major league career. Good thing the Pirates traded him away. So he's under. By the way, he signed an extension with the Pirates. Brian Hayes is under contract through 2029. And they have a club option for 2030. He's not getting a lot of money, though. He's getting like $7 million a year. But he's under contract until 2030. Hunter Green's under contract till 2029. He's got a club option. They gave Chase Burns a big deal. He got a 7-year deal. I think he just signed it this year, if I'm not mistaken. Where he starts getting paid a little bit. But the only guy that's really under contract right now is Chase Burns. Do you think the Reds are a legitimate World Series contender next year?
No.
Do you think they're a legitimate World Series contender the year after that?
I mean, that kind of depends on the development, I think, of like Sal Stewart and Matt McClain, if those guys really start to turn it around.
I mean, they got Ellie De La Cruz under contract because he's not eligible. Like, here, Brandon Williamson, Andrew Abbott, Dane Myers, Ellie De La Cruz, all under team control until 2030. Rhett Lauder, Sal Stewart under control until 2031 and 2032. So Sal Stewart's under control until 2032. It's a young core of guys.
Andrew Abbott's only been in the league for 4 years. He feels like he's been there for as long as Bronson Arroyo was. And
Andrew Abbott?
Yeah,
he's only got 2 years of service time.
He's only 27. I thought he's been in the league for about that long.
So they got a core under contract through 2029. I guess they could keep Lodolo, but he's a free agent in 2028. I mean, just looking at their plan, they're kind of like the Cardinals. Hunter Green's 27. Hunter Green's a free, Hunter Green you could bring back at 2029. I think he's a valuable piece, but, Chase Burns is 23. I feel like you could build your rotation around Chase Burns. If I'm the Reds and anybody wants, Eugenio Suarez is 35. He's a free agent next year, mutual option. Emilio Pagan's got a player option. But if I'm the Reds, I think you could trim some payroll here and even part ways with the guys like Hunter Green and, be ready to spend some money when the salary cap hits. I honestly, it's probably smart for them to sign to Hunter Green because I don't think they're going to be as competitive next year, and it depends. And he got one more year of control. Same thing with Nick Lodolo. Those are 2 arms that you might be able to part ways with. I don't even know how good of a season Lodolo's having this year, or if he's even healthy because he gets hurt a lot. But I think it is probably time to trade Hunter Green. Plus, he's had arm issues. It's like might as well.
Yeah,
might as well.
Yeah, the Angels.
Lodolo's got a 4.6 ERA and 12 starts.
The Angels have already shocked baseball by moving Logan O'Hoppe, and now executives believe almost everyone could be available, including Reed Detmers, Jose Soriano, and Zach Neto. Are the Angels finally doing what they should have done years ago?
Yeah, except they just don't have as many guys to part ways with. I mean, let's look at the Angels.
I mean, and look at Christian Moore. I mean, that kid was hitting everything last year down in the minor leagues. He's done nothing from what I can see.
Is he even in the big league? Did they pull him up?
They pulled him up last year.
He was a stud with Tennessee. I used to watch him play at Tennessee, and
he's not on the major league roster.
No, he had a cup of coffee and he's back down, and he's probably not ready yet. He's only had 20 at bats this year. They got a lot of young guys that they could. If they're gonna go full rebuild, they have to trade Mike Trout. It's time to just completely, Mike Trout probably would waive a no. Does he have a no trade? He probably has a no trade. Full no trade.
He does.
I think the Phillies should trade for Mike Trout. If I'm Mike Trout, I'm asking get out of there. I think if they get rid of Mike Trout and they can get somebody to eat most of his money, they can fully reset over there. And the reality is, like, their interim general manager, he knows how to build an organization because he did it with St. Louis. But their biggest problem is their owner, right? I mean, like Artie Moreno. If I'm the Angels, it's a perfect reset next year. You could trade away all of the, like, Jorge Soler, free agent, Robert Stevenson, Travis d'Arnaud, Kirby Yates, Yoan Moncada, Adam Frazier, Brent. I mean, what a roster the Angels have. Just let them all go. If anybody wants them, trade them away. You're not going to be that competitive in the next 2, maybe even 3 years. So that throws in Jose Soriano. That throws in Joe Adell. That throws in Reed Detmers. That throws in Josh Lau. I mean, Tyler Heineman's 35 years old, so I don't know if anybody really wants him. He was with the Blue Jays to start. That's Jose Siri. I mean, these start over. And then get a brand new manager. Like, because Suzuki was always a lame duck anyway. And just start with this young core of guys like Ben Joyce and Grayson Rodriguez and and Christian Moore when he comes back up, and just completely reset everything. They're paying way too much money for a roster that's awful. I mean, do you know what their payroll is this year?
No, I don't have it up anymore.
It's $184 million. And by the way, this is the last year that they have to pay Anthony Rendon. They're paying Anthony Rendon this year $38 million. They're paying Drew Pomeranz $4 million. Jordan Romano's getting $2 million from the Angels. Alek Manoah's getting $1.9 million. Joey Lucchese's getting $168,000. And Yeimer Candelario's getting $83,000. I mean, they have all this money in dead money as well. Start over. They're spending $43 million of their $185 on players that aren't even on their team anymore. Now's the time to start over for the Angels. And the best way to really solidify that you're starting over is shipping away Mike Trout. Give him anywhere else. Somebody save Mike Trout from himself and the Angels. Somebody do it. Somebody's got to do it.
I mean, the overarching fan response to a trade like that would be, thank God.
They would. They'd be like, you know what? We're resetting everything. We need a restart. They already have all these people. And the other thing, too, Artie Moreno already said, like, the most important thing for fans there anyway is just how cheap things are, or, like, the atmosphere at the ballpark. Well, if that's the case, get everybody out of there. Keep the guys that are not eligible for arbitration yet, and Zach Neto. Like, that's the guy you keep. Keep Zach Neto. Keep this young core. Trade everybody else away. Use the extra money to build a real team. I just load up on prospects. I'm serious. At this point, it's time to just and instead of drafting 20 arms in the draft that have never amounted to anything, start trading for some pitching prospects. I'm sure you can get some good ones.
I mean, it's just a ridiculous position that the Angels have put themselves in. That's really all you could say. It's an unnecessary position that those guys that they have insisted on putting themselves in. The Nationals. This will be kind of a two-parter. Washington has one of the hottest starters on the free agent market in Foster Griffin, but instead of trading him, they're discussing a contract extension. At the same time, they are listening on C.J. Abrams, but the asking price is reportedly so high that no one expects a deal. When should teams extend a player instead of cashing in at the deadline? And does every player have a price?
I think every player does have a price. I'm sure the Nationals are throwing Abrams out there like the Padres, through their allure out there with Mason Miller. I'd like to see C.J. Abrams get traded just so I don't have to listen about that trade anymore. But why would you here's my thing. Washington is not that close to being competitive. I mean, they're closer than they have been, but they're not going to be closer by trading away C.J. Abrams, Frank, and keeping Foster Griffin, who's 31 years old. Foster Griffin's a late bloomer starting pitcher, right? $5.5 million he's making this year. He's a free agent. He is a rental. Trade him. Now is a great time to trade him. He doesn't factor into your plans at age 31 and when you sign him to an extension. It doesn't make any sense. The extension makes sense for a guy that's 25 years old and is one of your all-stars in C.J. Abrams. It doesn't make sense for a guy like Foster Griffin, who was on the Royals in 2020, had been traded away, has bounced around, was on the Royals and the Blue Jays in 2022, went to Japan for 3 years. He's gotten a new resurrection with the Nationals this year. He's having a great year. That, to me, is not a guy that has sustainable success trade him while you can. He's just having a great year.
May I offer this bit of knowledge about the way the Nationals work? Which one's going to be cheaper to sign?
Yeah. Probably going to be Foster Griffin.
That's why they're looking to extend him and not CJ Abrams.
Which would be organizational malpractice.
Yep. All right, lightning round. We're getting close to the break here. One word answer. One word answer.
You don't make the rules here.
One word answer. Which player has the biggest chance of, well, okay, 2 words here because it's a name. Which player has the biggest chance of actually getting moved? Hunter Green, Reed Detmers, Jose Soriano, or Foster Griffin?
I think it's Detmers. I think it is. I gotta go back and look to see who's under contract longer there. Soriano's 27, Detmers is 27. They're the same. I think Detmers probably gets traded.
Back to one word answer. Which team is under the most pressure? Yankees, Cubs, Reds, or Angels?
Yankees.
Which front office surprises everybody during the deadline?
That's kind of a hard answer because like the Padres surprise people every year, but it's almost like expected that they're going to surprise people. Milwaukee. I think Milwaukee goes in. I think they finally make the big bold move. I think Milwaukee goes and gets Tarek Skubal.
Who overpays for pitching?
New York. The Yankees, for sure.
Which rumored trade would change the World Series race the most?
Tarek Skubal, if he doesn't go to the Dodgers. If Tarek Skubal goes to Milwaukee or Tampa or Seattle, I think that changes the World Series race a little bit. I don't think if the Dodgers acquire him, it's almost like
it's over.
It's dead and buried. The game's over. Season's over. But
we got to work on the one word answer gimmick here.
Some of those are kind of questions you can't answer with one word answer. Which rumored trade would change? What? There's not. Is there a one word trade?
Skubal.
But what does that mean? Like
a Skubal trade?
But it's not. But it doesn't if he goes to the Dodgers. Right? It wouldn't change the world. I guess it would. It would just make there would be no World Series race at that point. They would just be done.
See,
they would just be like they'd win the trade deadline like the Giants did last year. How's that working out for the Giants?
Working pretty well. They hung the banner.
Fine wine.
They hung the banner.
Like fine wine. Cubs and Cardinals just got underway. We'll keep you updated on that game as it goes about. I do want to get back to this pitching conversation. Because I do think it's interesting. I've laid out a couple of different things that look. There's something that was in the daily newsletter and in Dennis Lynn's article that I think leads to how this pitching staff is going to be assembled for the final month of the year. We'll talk about that when we come back.
I'm Austin Gardner, co-founder of GL.
Another fun week of motorsports. Alex Bowman announced he'll retire from full-time NASCAR competition after the 2027 season, saying injuries, family, and life beyond racing influenced his decision. Meanwhile, Corey Heim keeps making history, winning the Brickyard 400 to earn his second Cup Series victory despite only being a part-time driver. Joey Logano says NASCAR will be battling Heim for years to come, and it's hard to disagree. In Formula One, Lando Norris picked up a huge victory at Hungarian Grand Prix, while championship leader Kimi Antonelli extended his points lead heading into the summer break. One generation is becoming a step away, while another is already taking over. Let's start in NASCAR. Alex Bowman announced retirement plans, while Corey Heim keeps rewriting NASCAR history. This week was featured major headlines both on and off the track, starting with Alex Bowman, who announced he'll retire from full-time NASCAR Cup Series competition after the 2027 season, citing health concerns, family priorities, and a desire to step away while he is still
in his prime. Meanwhile, Corey Heim continued his remarkable rise by winning the prestigious Brickyard 400, becoming one of the sport's brightest young stars. Formula One also wrapped up the first half of the season with Lando Norris claiming a victory in Hungary. So let's start with the NASCAR Cup Series. Alex Bowman is going to retire.
Yeah, Alex Bowman's going to be retiring after next season, not this season. There was one of their biggest off-track stories that came out this week, on Thursday, when Hendrick Motorsports announced that Bowman will return for one final full-time season before retiring. Bowman said his decision is not performance-related, it is instead years of injuries, including multiple concussions. He had to sit out, I believe it was most of last year, because of concussions. He's broken his back. A frightening vertigo episode earlier this season, which also kept him out of the car, have convinced him that it's time to prioritize his long-term health. The 33-year-old also wants to focus on starting a family with fiancée Chloe Henderson, and admitted the emotional toll of racing every weekend has become difficult to manage. This departure leaves one of NASCAR's premier rides open, with Trackhouse prospect Connor Zilisch already viewed as the leading candidate to fill his place in the number 48 car, which also got some news this weekend as Jimmy Johnson plans his final race to be next year's Daytona 500. Hendrick Motorsports is going to allow him to use that number 48 that Alex Bowman currently uses. So what does Bowman do now?
Another car up there. I'm sure Hendrick can go get another number somewhere.
I believe they still own number 25. I believe, unless they just do a straight up number swap, 48 for 84 for a week. I'm not sure, but that's a February 2027 problem right now.
Yeah, Hendrick Motorsports is see how many numbers that they own. They might have some. I would imagine they probably have some alternates. Maybe
I think that it's not necessarily like that. You really only own the numbers that you run. Again, I think 25 has been an alternate of theirs for years. That drivers like Brad Keselowski's driven the number 25 when he first started. So I'm not sure which numbers they do own. They used to own 88. That's Trackhouse now. They started building their brand with number 17. That's Roush now. So I'm not sure which numbers they have licensing for that aren't the numbers that they already have.
Yeah, they have it on here. So I guess the likely alternate, according to the reports, is they are going to give Bowman the 25. So Bowman in that race will race the 25. It's historically been one of their numbers.
Yes.
But they don't have any alternates because NASCAR does not allow any alternates. You only get 4 full-time cars. But that's going to be interesting to see next spring, obviously, for Jimmy Johnson. I think for a lot of us here in San Diego that like the ties to Jimmy. And him being back in the 48 is going to be special.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's going to be at Daytona doing that will be very remarkable. But let's talk about the current chase. Corey Heim gets another victory, captures the Brickyard 400, continues to make history. The 2311 Racing driver captured the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, earning his second Cup Series victory of the season, despite running only a part-time schedule. Heim used a perfectly timed restart to take the lead from co-owner Danny Hamlin, who was just over 30 laps remaining and never looked back. Logano praised Heim afterwards, saying NASCAR will be racing against him for years to come. Pretty remarkable season he is having, even though he's on a part-time schedule.
Yeah, part-time schedule, Cup Truck Series champion last year. He's gotten 2 race wins in a very, very short amount of time, and they're 2 very, very
11:24. On a Thursday, Padres and Giants will start their 4-game series coming up tonight, 6:40 start time. Equal Water SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Cubs and Cardinals have gotten underway. Cubs put up a 0 in the top half of the first. We'll see what they do in the bottom half. Padres fans probably want the Cubs to lose now at this point, but it doesn't really matter. That game's kind of a wash game. You're going to get some type of benefit out of it today.
I was surprised the Cubs lost last night. Because all I saw on social media was
the PCA.
Yeah, it was PCA's home run. Then my friend, who's a Cubs fan, told me that they lost 3-2. I'm like, oh, that's news to me. I thought that was over.
I mean, I watched some of that game last night, and neither team could hit for like the 9 innings, and then PCA hit the home run in the top half of the 10th, and it gave him the 2 runs, but the pitching staff imploded again. They had a couple bounces not go their way too in Chicago. I mean, or again for the Cubs, so not overly surprised by that. But I do want to get to this pitching staff conversation here in a second. Paul Goldschmidt just struck out for the Yankees against the White Sox, and so Frank did the whistle that the Yankees play. And I didn't realize this. Frank obviously knows. He lives in New York, but it is a local company, and that's their jingle that they have, and they sponsor the strikeout. So they play the jingle when the Yankees strike somebody out. It's like that whistle that you hear all the time. You're going to go find it real quick?
No, I've got it.
He's got it. He already played it, but forgot to turn the
Well,
sound.
no, I wanted to hear it first before.
But they just drop like an F word in the middle of it?
And of course, right as I hit play, the stupid video changes to us. So you got double of us there for a second. Here we go.
Right.
That's the PC Richard and Son.
It's the jingle.
Yeah.
So that made me think the Padres need that. Could you imagine they strike out? Sid's carpet bar. Come on down. Come on down. That's another punch out for Michael King. We know how. Come on, that would be great. The local jingles here if they sponsor the strikeout at the stadium.
Well, what is it? What does sponsor the strikeout board now? It's one of the mowing things, is it not?
I don't remember who's I don't remember who sponsors the strikeouts.
This is really bad
at Petco.
It's the mowing company.
Not my week to watch the Padres in stadium sponsorships. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No.
You don't want to get this wrong, so let's.
I know that's why. It's not Big Bully Turf.
But if they had, mowing them down. That's what they do, right? So that landscaping company needs a jingle, and that's what they need to play instead of like Soundgarden.
Nate, that's funny. That's
what we were kind of talking about before, but they're not one of our sponsors, so I don't say it. It would be great though. It'd be hilarious. Come on down, come on down. Yeah. Sid's Carpet Barn jingle. Could you imagine every strikeout? 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Let's get out to the phones. Kevin at Chula Vista wants to weigh in. Kevin, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Another hot day in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody keep cool, and we'll get through it.
What do you got for us today?
Just wanted to catch up with you, Braden, from the roundtable this morning. I think you hit the nail on the head about the so-called chaos, helter-skelter, whatever you want to call it. You know, it's okay for now, but you're not going to be able to sustain the season with this. So, it's great to have the victories. We all love to win, and that's cool. But the work ahead is still significant, and the holes to fill are still significant. And what we couldn't predict is the meltdowns that are happening with, for example, the Phillies or the Marlins, or to a certain extent the Cardinals. The teams that were in front of the Padres, we couldn't see or predict, and rightly so, because there's plenty of baseball left, that they're going to have some issues there. And a lot of it stems around pitching. And, I have still, as we've talked before, a very deep concern about the state of baseball in general, and the lack of quality arms that are out there is stunning to me. And it puts these teams, all of them, in a precarious position. They're really, the degrees of separation, when you look at it, between the contenders is not that much. Even between the Padres and the Dodgers, you get the Padres a couple of starters that are quality. The rest of the team on any given night stacks up pretty well. So, it's going to be a very unpredictable end. I just hope the Padres don't overpay. Whatever they do, please don't overpay. And if you bring these people into the team, for God's sakes, hang on to them. So you're not giving away not only the players you traded away, but then you give away the players that you continue to bring in at the midseason. That's not a good way to continue a ball club. So Lastly, the Beatles song "Helter Skelter," dedicated to the Padres. It's not chaos. This is Helter Skelter, man, all the way.
Appreciate the phone call, Kevin. Yeah, I kind of agree with Kevin on the sense of, how many times at the trade deadline have we talked about like, oh, maybe you can sign this guy to an extension. Maybe you could keep this guy. Maybe you can keep the Ryan O'Hearn. Maybe you can keep, and they never do. They never have any interest in keeping those guys. So when you get the rental, you're getting a rental. They usually never re-sign these players. So I don't know if that's going to change at all at this deadline, but I think at this point, with what you're looking for, which is starting rotation help, a bullpen arm, maybe high leverage guy, and a bat, it's going to be tough, I think, to navigate that without shipping off one of your, better prospects. I don't think Ethan Salas gets traded. I don't think there's one piece out there that is worth trading Ethan Salas for. I really don't. I watched him last night. And I guess we will get to this because I didn't get to it earlier. I sat down and watched the Chihuahuas game last night. The Padres game was already over. There wasn't a lot of great MLB games on late in the night, or at least games that really mattered to the Padres. I was working on football for tomorrow's the first day of football already. And I needed something on. So I put the Chihuahuas game on, and I paid close attention to every one of Ethan Salas' at-bats. And I know it's a small sample size, but this is the first time I got to sit down and watch Ethan Salas play. And he had major league level at-bats in every one of his at-bats. He grounded out once. That was the one out he made. He went 3 for 4. His first at bat, he doesn't swing outside the zone. He's very patient. The ball was pitched on the outside part of the plate. He punched it down the left field line for a double. He battled through another at bat until he got to a point where the pitcher made a mistake. He roped it to the right center field gap for a triple. And then late in the game, the Chihuahuas pitching staff was okay against the PCL. You're going to score a lot of runs. They get to extra innings, and the Isotopes put up, I think, 4 or 5 runs, in the inning. To really put the Chihuahuas behind. I think it was 9-4 or 9-5 when he came up to bat. And in a more of a high leverage pressure situation, he roped the ball to left field for a base hit on a single to drive in a run. And he was great. He even worked a walk yesterday, and in a walk that he was patient the entire time. He didn't look like he was 20 years old. He looked like he was 25, 26 years old, ready to, be added to the major league roster tomorrow. And it's only one game, and he's going to have his struggles too. We'll see how long they keep him in AAA. But you didn't get to see him catch. You only got to see him DH. And for as much praise as he gets as a defensive catcher, his at-bats yesterday were, I thought, incredibly professional. I was really impressed with watching him play. They've kept him long enough. They kept him through last year when he was hurt. They have given him a lot of challenges in his career. I just don't see him trading. I just don't see them trading him for anybody on this for anybody that's out there that's available. I really don't, and I don't think you could justify anything else in terms of any other player that you could potentially trade him for. So,
and especially after just calling him up to AAA, I think that kind of we said it yesterday. I think that kind of seals the deal that he's not getting traded.
Right. I don't think he gets traded, but you're going to have to get creative with some of these trades if you want to bring in some of the arms, and I think you're going to get a rental if that's the case. And there's one thing that was mentioned in both Kevin Acee and Dennis Lin's article. There was 2, really, that go about what this trade deadline is going to look like. And I think I got the answer for you when we come back. All our guests join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking, it's better.
We were having a nice conversation until I saw what I just saw on television. Then it just ruined the whole thing.
This is what I love about Frank and the Mets. Beginning part of the season, anything that's negative about the Mets kills Frank because it's the beginning part of the season. They still have a chance. At this point in the season, now he's fully committed to them being terrible. And so now any positive stat about the Mets turns into complete shambles for Frank Marchese because now he wants the general manager gone. He wants a brand new team. It's time to really dive into next year. You don't want to see the starting pitching turn things around. And, the Cubs put up a graphic about just how good the Cubs pitching has been in the starting pitching since, the All-Star break or something like that?
July 5th.
Since July 5th for the month of July. And the leader in the clubhouse was the New York Mets having the best starting rotation ERA since July. Franken's shambles, man. He's in shambles.
I hate them so much.
Why couldn't they do this at the beginning of the year? They're going to get on a little bit of a tear after the Padres play them, and they're going to be just short. Frank, they're only 11 games back.
Which, by the way, I'm going to have a conversation with Dennis Lynn about his employer.
The Athletic?
Mm-hmm.
Por qué?
Why is Frank the Tank the number one, the headline story on the MLB page yesterday?
He's entertaining. People laugh at his craziness.
He's an idiot. And a lot of his videos now are just they're bits. They're not even when he does his personal videos.
When you get to a point of social media stardom, that's basically what all the videos turn into. You're just doing it for bits now. It's not genuine videos. That's why a lot of people's sticks wear off. My buddies were super into what's that guy's name? Bob Does Sports, because he treat like a food. He'd be eating a bagel and he would be talking about it like a press conference. And then he does, which is great. It's the first time I ever hear it. It's hilarious. And then he does it again and again and again and again. And eventually it's all right, well, that's like everything he does.
The best Frank videos now are the ones where he's in the Barstool building and they're poking at him to get him to react. Those are the best ones because you can tell those are genuine. That's just friends and coworkers.
I like him
jerks.
Spewing his knowledge. I mean, he has a lot of useless baseball information.
He is a very smart guy. He is an encyclopedia when it comes to especially Mets, Jets knowledge. He knows it all. But like I told Adam yesterday, if you ever see me as the top story on the MLB Athletic page, with half a pair of glasses, a fedora, and a shirt that came out of the Margaritaville collection.
Wasted away again in Margaritaville.
I have done something very, very wrong in my life, and I need an intervention. I need help. That would be a cry. That would be my cry for help.
You know what, Frank? I don't think we would get you to that point.
Good.
I think somebody would step in before.
I hope so. I really do.
Okay. I think we're going to do our sports thread at noon.
That's fine.
Because we got to get to this pitching conversation. Now, some context clues, if you will, with what we've been told in some of these articles. A couple of them that popped up was we had, the trade deadline conversation was for the Padres in a sense of, and I think it was in both AC and Dennis Lynn's article, or their different articles, but it was about what they're looking for and what they can afford. And, it seems like the front office does not know if they're going to be granted any more, payroll flexibility. But the other thing too, and I'm pretty sure it was in Dennis Lynn's article from today, was talking about how the Padres, in order to make some moves, are going to have to trade away from their major league roster. So, and I'll find that here in a second, but I think a lot of people are just assuming that means like you're going to have to give up one of your like best players. So let's see what it's. I'm trying to find where it says team decision makers were scheduled to meet this week to discuss Monday's trade deadline and related financial matters, according to people briefed on the Padres' plans, but not authorized to speak publicly. The sale of the franchise is still pending. An owner's vote is not expected until after the trade deadline. For now, the prevailing belief at Petco Park is that President of Baseball Operations AJ Preller, despite a 30th ranked farm system, will not be permitted to take on much payroll. And so I saw it somewhere in here where it said like they're going to have to trade away from like the major league roster. So I'm trying to find exactly where that is. Okay, it says considering such outfielders might signal a measured approach to the deadline, all of them are under club control, but none of them wields what is considered an impact back. However, year after year predicting Preller's midsummer moves has proved a largely futile endeavor. Combination of buying and selling continues to loom as a possibility, especially if Preller finds a deal that could help the club now and in the future. Obviously, they talked about Miller and Morahone, but it's going to be hard for them to move players. So it sounds like it's going to be difficult for this team to be able to acquire pieces without trading something from the major league roster. I think the big names of Morahone and Miller always come about, but I think with the way that the market is, we're going to have some fun with Frank here. Is it a buyer or seller's market, Frank? We've talked about this all week.
It is a seller's market.
It is a seller's market. And if you look at the standings, and we go over this all the time, there's a lot more buyers than sellers. Like the sellers right now in the National League, Colorado, New York, San Francisco, Cincinnati, and then on the fence, Miami, Washington, St. Louis, who don't necessarily have to sell, but they might. And St. Louis is just taking a 1-0 lead over the Cubs, so who knows if they're trying to come back into it. But some of those teams don't really have a lot to sell. In the American League, Angels, A's, Royals are definitely sellers. I don't really think the Blue Jays are in it, 9 games under 500, but they're 5.5 games out of a wild card spot. They're like, a wild card about a seller. Detroit, kind of a wild card if they're going to sell or not. Sounds like they might be leaning towards trading away like a Tarek Skubal. That doesn't give teams a lot of options to add players. And so when you're in a seller's market, it might be some buyers that have to sell off some assets. And the Padres, what's their biggest strength?
Bullpen.
It's the bullpen. And what does every team need that is in contention, from Tampa Bay all the way down to, Miami, if you want to consider them in contention? Everybody needs pitching. And more importantly, there's not enough starting pitching to make too much of an impact. Everybody needs bullpen arms. Well, as you go through this chaos pitching that we've talked about over and over again, and you start to piece together what this pitching staff will look like, you have 13 spots. And Morgan is coming back at some point during this year. It sounds like he's coming back mid-August. And you got Jason Adam coming back at the end of August. You still have Giolito, who might be coming back at some point this year. Those are 3 guys that need to be added to this roster. You mentioned the fact of Pivetta and Musgrove, and I also threw in there, maybe they trade for a Detmers or a Gossman. I think it's going to be more on the side of a rental than anything else. And in order to do that, you're going to have to lop off pitchers on your roster. Or you can trade some of them. Now, people always assume that it's going to be Miller and Morahone, but I'm going to tell you right now, the Padres got a pitcher in the bullpen that is 1-1 with a 2.56 ERA, who's pretty good this year in 38 2/3 innings pitched. His fielding independent pitching is okay. It's not the best. It's a 4.58. His ERA plus is 162. In a time where teams are desperate for pitching help, a left-hander that has a 2.56 ERA isn't that bad. You might be able to get something there. Or how about another left-hander that you have in this bullpen? This left-hander is 2-2 with a 3.17 ERA. He has started 4 games this year. He has 47 outings And on the year, he has had good numbers. He has a proven track record. Yeah, his fielding independent pitching is okay at a 4.33. His ERA plus is 131 in 54 innings pitched. I mean, he's been a workhorse this year. He's almost got a 1 ERA, just like the other left-hander. Those are two arms, Frank, without saying their names, that I think a lot of teams would be interested in acquiring at the trade deadline, especially if nobody else is available.
I would be looking for especially left-handed arms coming out of the bullpen for sure, yeah.
I think the Padres are in a position where they can trade away Yuki Matsui and Wandy Peralta, and I think it saves them money. I think teams would be interested in them. Is it going to give you a prospect capital like haul back? No, it's not. You might get a piece here and there, but I think they have to do that. I think that's going to be the selling point of this trade deadline. And so then if you trade those guys away, it frees up some money because they're both owed money over the next, couple of years. Wandy Peralta is a free agent after next season, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so he's got $4.45 million coming to him next year. And a team that's in contention that needs bullpen help probably could use Wandy Peralta again next year. Yuki Matsui was the other name mentioned. He's getting $6.5 million next year, and he's got a $7 million player option. But again, with how good he has been, I think there's other teams that could use his services, especially in this sense of what the situation is in terms of a seller's market. And when you do that, let's just say you make those moves and you acquire Gausman. I mean, you could be going into a situation for the for the final month push of King, Gausman, Pivetta / Musgrove at some point. I'm only banking on I'm only really hoping that one of them comes back. If two of them come back, your pitching staff gets even better. I don't know what you did with Giolito, perhaps. Maybe the Giolito day is the chaos day. You have Walker Buehler. And then your bullpen is Miller, Adam, Morgan, Estrada, Rodriguez, Morahone, Hart, and maybe Vasquez. I keep Vasquez in there just because of the fact that you can't really do anything. You can't really get rid of him. And you're going to have to, he's under control for a while. You don't want to put him through waivers. Somebody would take him away. I mean, that's a bullpen, Frank, that if you deploy the chaos pitching, could be very successful.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think, and just to be clear, because we also had this conversation off air, if you trade Peralta and Matsui, you're not trading Morahone. Morahone
No,
stays.
you're keeping Morahone.
Yeah, you're either trading Morahone and keeping the other two, or you're trading Peralta and Matsui and keeping Morahone. So that to me, I think is probably one of the moves those are moves that you can make that are creative. They could get you a little something back, and they could also get you a decent starting pitcher, especially with how desperate these contending teams are for relief pitching. A trade to the Yankees for Wandy Peralta makes a hell of a lot more sense than a trade to the Yankees for Mason Miller.
Oh, 100%. And they're desperate for pitching. And you know what? I bet you, the Pirates took Ron Marinaccio. Are you telling me they wouldn't take you? I mean, their bullpen is so bad, and they're pitching like behind their starters, that they actually gave the Padres money in international signing for Ron Marinaccio as the mop-up guy here in San Diego. You're telling me they wouldn't take Yuki Matsui? I think there's moves out there. It's not going to bring you back anything important.
No,
it's not going to get you a top prospect.
No.
It might get you a middle-of-the-road guy, but at this point, you're kind of creating some space for your other pitchers to come back, and it maybe free up some money for you so you can use then to pay off the remainder of Kevin Gausman's contract this year, or Freddie Peralta, or what have you. I think these are like the subtle moves that they would make, because I think they're going to have to trade away some of their major league talent, which that would be considered some of their major league talent. It's not anything that's going to bring back a haul. It's not going to bring back, players that are, if you trade away Matsui and Peralta, you'll get lucky to get a bench piece back, a future bench piece. But you would be doing it and to a point where, like, all of a sudden that chaos pitching and that chaos plan actually makes a lot of sense in October with the names that I mentioned. So I think it's something to watch for this weekend. I'm not saying that they're going to trade those guys, but I don't necessarily think them trading and selling and buying results in trading away Miller and Morejon. I think that's just like the shooting for the stars. We'll get to our sports there when we come back. New lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing us over at Sports Station 97.3. The Fan. Just to kind of recap what we just talked about with the pitching staff before we get to the sports thread, I think there's some play there for the Padres to potentially make those moves, and I don't necessarily think they have to trade away the top echelon players on this team in order to buy and sell at the deadline. I think the Padres can totally flip a Wandy Peralta or a Yuki Matsui. I mean, shoot, they gave the Yankees Enyel De Los Santos for Brandon Lockridge. I mean, I think a move like that is in play for the Padres because of how desperate teams are to getting bullpen help. And, you know, you would only have two lefties in your bullpen and Kyle Hart and Adrian Morejon, and I think with the reverse splits that Hart has, you almost have to view him as a right-handed pitcher more than a left-handed pitcher. But when you get to the postseason and you start thinking about all the lefties that you're going to have to face in the postseason, you'd be better off facing them with Adrian Morejon than anything else. And so I think teams would take Yuki Matsui and Wandy Peralta. You're not going to get a lot back for them, but those are guys that teams are going to be desperate for when it comes to arms because of the fact that we're in such a seller's market.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, and to me, those are the kind of trades that you're going to need to make this year. And granted, they're not setting yourself up for the future all that well. But if you're looking to compete right now, a lot of the problems that the Padres have are problems that are going to need to be fixed over the offseason. So you can't really do much about that right now anyway. Prices are going to be a little bit cheaper during the offseason. Trades aren't going to be as costly during the offseason. I would definitely focus more on the future during the offseason to try to win now.
I did see some conversation about, some reports about, the Padres potentially, maybe an idea out there is to sell Michael King and try to get what you got back to flip for pitching that's more controllable. I think that's interesting. I don't know. That's a big risk move for this organization. I mean, that could be in the cards too. Like what if, you trade Michael King to a contender and then you get like good prospects back and all of a sudden you flip those guys for a Reed Detmers or a Jorge what the other guy the Angels have, Soriano, or maybe it's enough to get Hunter Green back, right? And then you have Hunter Green for a couple of years. I mean, I guess that's another avenue you can look at. But with David Morgan coming back in middle of August, at least according to the reports, and Jason Adam at the end of the month, maybe Giolito and one of Pivetta or Musgrove. I mean, based on the pitching staff I outlined, you could have a rotation for the month of September that is King, maybe a guy that you trade for, whether it be a Gossman or a Peralta or, maybe a fringe guy that's just going to be better than what you've had. You get Pivetta / Musgrove back. Maybe a Giolito is your chaos day. Walker Buehler is your fifth starter. You can make to the playoffs with that. And then when you get to the postseason, you're going to go with King. You're going to go with whoever you acquire, like maybe a Gossman. Maybe you start Joe Musgrove if he's back and ready to go. Maybe you start a Nick Pivetta. And then your bullpen's going to be Giolito, Buehler, Miller, Adam, Morejon, Estrada, Rodriguez, Morgan, Hart, Vasquez. That's a pitching staff that can win in October. The problem, I think the strategy of the pitching, like the chaos pitching, whatever we've talked about a lot today, I think the strategy of that can work in October when you have the bullpen that the Padres have. And that's, by the way, that's taking Matsui and Yuki out of it, who have done well. And if they don't trade them, they've had good seasons. They add to the help of this team. I think you can run this strategy when you have a really good bullpen. But the problem is not October. The problem is getting to October. I don't know if you can do this for 2 months. You could do it for 1 month when it's all hands on deck. You can't do this for 2 months. That's where you're going to be in a problem. But if you traded for like a Gossman then and you get one of Pivetta or Musgrove back, you get both of those guys back, all of a sudden it drastically changes the narrative. I just don't think you're going to get both of them back. But if you do that, I think it gets you to October. And I think that's what the deadline right now for the Padres, they have shown, their offense has shown that they can compete in October now. Their bullpen has shown, especially when they're healthy and they're getting guys back and compete in October. The starting staff is the one part that you can't. And this deadline needs to be used for the Padres to get to October and then let the bullpen take over. That's how I view this deadline. And the thing is, Padres fans are like, I wouldn't care if Yuki or Wandy got traded. Yeah, you've seen like the good and the bad. But this season, they both have really good years. They both had good enough years where teams will take a flyer on them, or teams would take them to add to their pitching staff that is very much lacking. So that's kind of how I see it. Kevin Gausman, I can't remember off the top of my head what they said about how much you would still have to pay Kevin Gausman because he's owed $20-something million this year. I think it's about a third at this point. Like, you're already like 2/3 of the way through the season by the time you acquire him. So I think maybe if you do, give or take like a third of his contract. So maybe like $7 million, $7.6 million you still have to owe him. I mean, if you trade away Yuki Matsui and Wandy Peralta, well, I mean, that's just minuscule too, but it would cut some of the deficit off of that. So that's how I see this, especially from the pitching side of things. I mean, offensively, we've talked about it. I mean, Mickey Moniak looks like he's very comfortable hitting at Petco Park. His road splits have not been very good, but you know what? His splits at Petco have been very good. You know, maybe he likes being home. I mean, I think that would be a subtle move that can help this team. He's a good defensive player in the outfield. He's a young player. He was the number 1 draft pick in 2016. He could bat second behind Fernando and in front of me. I mean, how much better do you think he would be if he was in a lineup that's actually really good?
That would be really nice to see.
I mean, you could have Fernando bat leadoff. You could have Moniak bat second. Yeah, Machado bat third. And then at that point, I mean, you lengthen the lineup out a little bit, right? Maybe France still bats fourth with the way that he has been swinging the bat. And then you get into, maybe Merrill at 5 or 6. And, you could have Bogarts bat near the bottom. I mean, your catcher, if it's Campusano, he bats 7th. You go Campusano, Bogarts, and Cronenworth. That's a way deeper lineup, and all you did is acquire Mickey Moniak. I mean, that's not a bad spot for him. A little bit extra pop. I mean, he's not going to knock your socks off. But I think if you surrounded him with some talent, I think it'd be a very good pickup. I really do, especially with the way he's hit at Petco Park this year. We're going to table our Padres conversation. We're going to table our conversation about the pitching staff as we go to what else is going on in Major League or not Major League Baseball, what else is going on in the sports world, today's sports thread.
You know that group chat, the one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today?
All right, there was some big news that came out just as we were getting ready for the roundtable this morning.
Number 1.
And that is that we brought up the fact that UEFA was talking about boycotting the World Cup because of the private investing thing. We brought that up yesterday. It has been announced today that UEFA and all 55 nations will be boycotting all FIFA competitions, including the World Cup, after an emergency meeting Thursday resolved to unequivocally reject FIFA President Gianni Infantino's plan to raise $20 billion of outside investment with a share sell-off to a private equity group. This decision means that major nations, including Germany, France, England, Italy, and the World Cup hosts for 2030, Portugal and Spain, will now be completely withdrawing from all FIFA competitions until whatever happens here with this private equity thing is resolved. So may not be immediately impactful. The World Cup just ended. The Euros don't start for another 2 years. Qualifying for the 2030 World Cup doesn't start until next September. But so it doesn't have an immediate impact per se, but also that's a big statement to have all of these nations band together in less than 24 hours to approve a boycott of this magnitude.
I think it sends a message that they're not messing around.
100%.
I think they also understand that they have probably the most value out of all the countries that compete in with FIFA. I mean, the biggest draw is who? Mostly the European countries, right? Those are the ones that have dominated in soccer, and so I think they understand that. So from that perspective, I think it's going to scare FIFA a little bit. I think they're going to work out a deal. I would be shocked if they... Well, you know what? I wouldn't be shocked because remember they tried to do the Super League in soccer, and they're like, no, we're not doing this, and then it fell apart. I mean, I think FIFA might back down a little bit on this. It's either they're going to back down or FIFA's going to get... Or they're going to like increase the money for all these other countries that are boycotting it, and they'll work out a deal. Those are the two avenues, I think. I think they're going to play the Euros still. I think they're going to play in the World Cup. It's a long time.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a lot easier to pull this when you're that far out from a lot of competition. But you know what? They're at least sounding the bell that they're not messing around.
Yeah, the Euros are only the European nations to begin with, but the World Cup is the big one, and that qualifying doesn't start until the middle of next year or September of next year. So this is a little ways off, but this also means that FIFA's got to look for, if this sticks, that means they have to look for a new host for 2030. So that's... There are major implications, but again, those implications are very, very far off.
Number 2.
The NBA's investigation into whether the Clippers illegally circumvented the salary cap to compensate Kawhi Leonard could extend into 2027 if the league, the team, and the Players Association cannot reach an agreement. Clippers have consistently denied the allegations, while the NBA Players Association has indicated it's prepared to challenge any punishment through arbitration if the league lacks sufficient evidence. The ongoing investigation also puts a proposed trade sending Leonard back to the Raptors on hold, with potential penalties ranging from a hefty fine and loss of draft picks to even the voiding of Leonard's contract if violations are proven. Until the investigation is resolved, one of the NBA's biggest offseason storylines remains in limbo. If the NBA cannot prove any wrongdoing, should it close the investigation and move on, or is it worth taking extra time to ensure the league gets the decision right?
I mean, it should take some time for, like, they want to make sure this works out. Mm-hmm. Right, they want to make sure they get the decision correct. I think Toronto and the Clippers both understood what they were taking on with this potential deal. And the only way that I think it should be called off is if the teams call it off until the investigation is over with. So, a tough situation for Toronto, but they signed up for this. They really wanted Kawhi Leonard back. I mean, you knew the stories about what was going on with Kawhi Leonard behind, that got reported way before, and you decided to trade for him anyway. I don't really feel bad for them. So I think they got to make sure the investigation goes well and goes through properly, and then I think that's better off for not only both teams but for the league itself. If they got to instead of just like rushing it through, canceling the deal, making the knee-jerk reaction move.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the biggest thing with this trade right now, with this story right now, is the fact that it's holding up a trade. It's holding up Kawhi Leonard going back to Toronto. So other than that, I mean, it is another story right now.
Number 3.
This one I found to be really ridiculous. Tennessee linebacker Arian Carter has been suspended for the first 2 games of the season after accepting get this, $427 flight from an agent while testing the NFL draft process. Carter later repaid the cost of the flight and returned to Tennessee after deciding to come back for his senior season. But the NCAA still upheld the suspension following an appeal. The Vols argue the punishment is excessive, especially given Carter's decision to self-correct and the school's cooperation throughout the process. The ruling is likely to reignite the debate over whether the NCAA rules have kept pace with today's college athletics landscape. Did the NCAA get the punishment right, or is suspending a player 2 games over a $427 flight out of touch with the current era of college athletics?
It's out of touch. It's dumb. This is why people hated the NCAA to begin with. It's for dumb things like this. As I've realized, and everybody, I think a lot of people know, when you start dealing with academia and the people that are in charge of academia, they're worried about the wrong things. They're worried about things that don't matter. This is something that doesn't matter. This is stupid. I don't know why. This goes in line with like, oh, he has to sit out 3 games because you bought him a sandwich, and that's a benefit that's illegal. It's like this is the stuff that's dumb. That why people were upset about not having NIL to begin with. It's stupid decisions like this.
And it's a decision that was made while Carter was not sure if he was going to be returning. And once he made his decision to come back to Tennessee, he repaid the flight, and it was all done. It was all done and over with. So he technically wasn't even really a college athlete at that point. He was deciding whether or not he was going to go to the NFL draft. And then when he made the decision, he said, you know what? I'm coming back. Here's the $427. Thank you very much for the flight. Thank you very much for taking me through the process. But I'm going to stay here with Tennessee. And the NCAA penalizes him for it. That, to me, is one of the biggest reasons why it's so hard to firmly get behind the NCAA, even within all of these lawsuits that they're currently losing. Wrongfully so losing. It's because they continue to do stuff like this when they don't have to.
I agree. I mean, this is the dumb stuff that like gets them into trouble. It's stuff like this. I mean, they allow European pros to play college basketball. You tell me those guys were just doing it for free? It's stupid.
That's where this NCAA thing just, like, you're getting the court of public opinion on your side. These athletes are doing way too much to try to get more years because they know they've got nothing else after it, and to get as much money as they possibly can.
And they're screwing it up now.
Yeah, and yet you continue to do stuff like this that just go, okay, you've just undone all of the goodwill that you've earned. Fools. That's about it. We got to hit the break.
When we come back, we're going to take a look at the market again, some mailbag questions on the trade deadline. Also, the rumors about Mason Miller not ending, despite the Padres on a 5-game winning streak. We'll play that for you when we come back as well. College sports may have just hit another major turning point. The Protect College Sports Act, a bipartisan bill designed to create national rules for NIL transfers and athlete compensation, is now unlikely to receive a Senate vote before Congress leaves for its August recess. Without federal legislation, the NCAA could continue struggling to enforce consistent rules, and conferences like the SEC and Big Ten may take even more control over their own futures. We've already heard SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey admit that discussions about creating separate rules are real. If Congress can't deliver a national solution, could college football eventually split into different governing systems? That's becoming one of the biggest questions facing the future of college athletics. Senate Majority Leader John Thune announced this week that the Protect College Sports Act is unlikely to receive a full Senate vote before lawmakers leave for their August recess. The bill, introduced by Senators Ted Cruz of Texas and Maria Cantwell of Washington, is designed to create nationwide rules for college athletics. Amongst its biggest goals are establishing consistent NIL regulations, protecting eligibility rules, clarifying transfer policies, and giving the NCAA limited antitrust protection so it can actually enforce those rules without facing constant legal challenges. Supporters believe it's the best opportunity college sports has had in years to create one national standard, but with time running out on the congressional calendar, that opportunity may have to wait. But the principle of this, Frank,
I think is very good. I like all of these changes. And I think the biggest problem for Congress right now is, one, and we're going to get to this, the SEC and Big Ten aren't fully on board, but two, having them to be on board. Set your rules, and then let's have everybody follow these rules, because if the SEC and the Big Ten get to dictate what happens, you're not really setting rules for everybody anyway. You're just letting the SEC and Big Ten govern everybody else in college athletics.
No, exactly right. And the fact that you're getting this now, this vote probably won't go through until September now. So that's into the season. That's going to change everything. That's going to create a whole bunch of other issues for college athletics for this football season and potentially basketball season as well, depending upon how long this goes. So this is not an ideal situation for people who want clarity like us in college athletics going into the future. It's not necessarily the ideal scenario here, as this vote might be pushed back until the end of August or into September.
So the SEC and the Big Ten, they don't like pooling TV contracts. They don't like having to share the money. They don't a lot of these issues. They don't like the limit on expanding their conferences. And without the support of the SEC and the Big Ten, the bill faces an uphill battle in Congress. But to me, those are all the rules that you need to put in place to make it a level playing field to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? What is it going to just be the southern states that are going to have their Congress people decline this? I mean, I just think that you have to try to put this in without letting the SEC and the Big Ten benefit the most. Otherwise, it doesn't even matter.
You're getting to a point now where a vast majority of fans are starting to feel kind of the way baseball fans do. Mm-hmm. That if you keep putting this out and if you keep on delaying this, and the SEC is getting this from both ends as well, from not just this Protect College Sports Act, but also the expansion of the college football playoff, it's all about money. And the more and more people start to realize that, and the more and more of these stories are starting to come out, you're going to start getting the court of public opinion starting to agree with the NCAA more and more and more, and start paying less and less attention to these conferences not being on their side nearly as much or nearly as vigorously. So if the SEC and the Big Ten want to save at least some sort of face here, stop looking at the wallet and start looking at the bigger picture as to what is going on in college athletics.
If they take care of what's better for college football, eventually they will get to the money that they want. When you decide to just go with greed and what you already, and just have a money standpoint, it's a big reason why they call greed a 7 deadly sin, because eventually it comes back to haunt you. And the SEC and the Big Ten are so arrogant right now, they think they're indestructible, which is another big problem for major, decision makers. But, what happens if Congress doesn't act? I think if lawmakers fail to act, conferences may begin creating their own governance models. I think that creates more chaos. You know who doesn't benefit? Anybody in college athletics, because it's less eyeballs on your product. It's less people engaged in your product. And I don't think they understand the consequences of their actions of, we're just going to split off because we're so great and everybody's going to love us. It's like, I don't think that's going to be the case. I really don't. I think you're going to be a regional sport, but when you start turning yourself into a professional version of the sports, what's going to happen is you become a minor league of the professional leagues. And you know what minor league sports don't get a lot of? Attention, viewership, engagement, and at the end of the day, money. So Congress has roughly 2 weeks remaining before its August recess. And with the midterms coming up, they're not going to have a lot of time to get all of this done before they start worrying about elections. So if there's no agreement reached before the break, meaningful federal legislation may become much more difficult to pass before the election season dominates Washington. And that's a big
1224 here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Padres Giants coming up a little bit later on here today. Giants still do not have a starting pitcher named going up against J.P. Sears here today. Wonder, Braden, if that's a roster move in the waiting, not necessarily a trade, but a roster move. potentially.
It could be a roster move. I thought for sure if you were going to have a TBA, because I saw this earlier, it would have been the Padres having a TBA.
Yeah, Padres, TBA is going tomorrow for the Padres, but so far TBA is going all 4 days for San Francisco at the moment.
I was talking with Peter during the break.
Yeah.
He's asking about high school football. He's like, you guys should be starting soon, right? Yep, start tomorrow. It'll be a long day tomorrow. 6 a.m. practice tomorrow for JV. Come back, do the show, and then get out there, and we got varsity practice at 3 o'clock. It should be hot.
There you go.
It's going to be hot. It's going to be a long day tomorrow. I might be passed out in the middle of the Padre game tomorrow night. For the people that say, you don't watch the game. Tomorrow, might not. Might be asleep.
Got an
Be
easy
a long day.
Got an easy final hour tomorrow at least.
That's good. Saturday, I'm going to be at USD for the coaching clinic thing. I'm going to help them out with that.
Yes.
So that's going to be fun. I had a meeting with them earlier this week to discuss all the ins and outs and all the moving parts. It's just kind of I'm basically I told I'm gonna be like a point guard, just dishing the rock. You know, here's J.R. Blount talking about defense. Here's Blanche Alverson. Here's Seth Davis.
We got
pass the rock.
Bob Scanlan coming up to close out the show today. Tomorrow we'll have Apple TV Plus sideline reporter Heidi Watney will be on the show tomorrow.
USD Torero, Heidi Watney.
Because the Padres will be on Apple TV Plus tomorrow night as the second game of their Friday night doubleheader.
You know what? I don't know. I did end up getting the free trial of Apple TV Plus. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's a great day for me to now. I can walk to pitchers now.
Yeah.
I might walk to pitchers and watch the game tomorrow.
There you go.
That sounds like a great idea right now. That doesn't sound like a great idea tomorrow after 2 football practices and our show. And then the other thing that sucks is the walking home part. Because walking there, I go down a hill.
Ooh.
Walking back, I would have to go back up a hill.
That's usually how hills work.
Yeah. I don't know. Because like old people say like they walk uphill both ways for like when they were kids. So how does that work? At some point,
also true.
At some point, I thought you had to go downhill at least once. In the 1 o'clock hour, we're going to get to our training camps. We're going to be breaking this up into different teams on different days. Today, we're going to do one team per division. Today, we'll have updates for you on Buffalo, Baltimore, Houston, Denver, Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, and Arizona will be today, and we'll just kind of go through our rotation on that. Once Aztec camp starts up, we'll give you camp reports on San Diego State football as well as we get into football mode. Should be exciting. We were right there, ready to go. My alma mater has already started their camp, but they start week 0, and they got to play in Ireland, so they get a little bit of extra time to prepare for the season. So I'm already into football mode. I got to get my practice plans all ready. I was working on a lot of that this week. But to go back to our trade deadline conversation, the Mason Miller conversation will not go away. I think a lot of national pundits are doing this just to get people to tune into their coverage. But we had the video, and, it's the trade story that refuses to die. It's Jeff Passan talking about Mason Miller again. Was this yesterday?
This was yesterday, yes.
Let's hear what Jeff Passan had to say.
Get the video. There we go. Oh, for goodness sake, come on.
Oh, come on.
Hold on. We got you.
Hang on. Oh, my goodness.
Here we go.
Leads Major League Baseball in ERA, strikeout rate, and opponent's OPS. Should the Padres trade him?
Yes. And here's why. Where the Padres are right now, they need long-term starting pitching help. And last year, they went for it. They gave up Leo DeVries, who's the number 2 prospect in all of baseball, to go and get Mason Miller. And he's been incredible. He is by far the best reliever in Major League Baseball right now. And if the Padres didn't have some of these depth problems that they do, then I would say hold on to him. But you also have to look at the rest of the Padres bullpen. They've done an excellent job in recent years of cobbling together a super pen. And I think that's the sort of thing that can be replicated. Going out and getting starting pitching, on the other hand, is going to take money. And when the Padres have all their money tied up in Xander Bogaerts, Fernando Tatis, Manny Machado, Jackson Merrill, Jake Cronenworth, so on and so forth, They're just not going to have that unless Jose Feliciano, their new owner, comes in and says, you know what, I'm not going to spend like a small market owner here. I'm going to crank the payroll over the luxury tax threshold and keep it there and make sure to reward this franchise in the same way that Peter Seidler did when he was the owner.
I understand what they're coming from. I think it's an easy narrative. It's like everybody wants young, controllable pitching. But don't you want young, controllable pitching that's good?
Yeah, I mean,
isn't that like what young, controllable pitching is fine. Like the Padres have young, controllable pitching.
It's just not here
young,
yet.
They got young, controllable pitching from Juan Soto.
Yeah,
they got young, controllable pitching. They got Randy Vasquez under control for a while. That was the young, controllable pitching that they went and acquired. They needed the young, controllable pitching. They went and got young, controllable pitching. They got J.P. Sears. He's young, controllable pitching. They got Randy Vasquez, young, controllable pitching. They got Johnny Brito, young, controllable pitching. They went and got Brian Hoeing, young, controllable pitching. I mean, what are you talking about? What do you mean they don't have young, controllable pitching? Oh, they need to have really good young, controllable pitching. Oh.
And that's where the Yankees come in.
Yeah, because these guys are so great. Wait a minute. Where did Michael King and Johnny Brito and Randy Vasquez come from? I thought that was the...
But they are really good.
Oh, we're just missing the fact that they're
really good.
They're really good. Yeah, they're really good. They're the future, the starting pitching, right? Yeah. This is the young, controllable pitching that we needed. It was from the Yankees that have a plethora of the young, controllable starting pitching that they have developed themselves, just like everybody in their rotation.
Yeah.
Have a couple. Yeah, throw in Cam Schlittler. We'll be all right. Sounds good. I mean, come on. I find it incredibly vague from a lot of people that go like, they need young, controllable pitching. Well, so does everybody else. But you want good, young, controllable pitching. You don't want just guys that are young and you have control of them for 4 or 5 years and they happen to be pitchers. You have these guys. It hasn't really worked out with some of these guys. Are you going to continue to trade away players that you know are good off your team to try to maybe hit on one of these guys? Because if everybody needs young, controllable starting pitching, most teams don't trade that away. They don't trade that away.
I don't know if you know this or not, but the Padres also need a bat. Did you see that home run that Spencer Jones kid hit yesterday?
Spencer Jones hit a home run yesterday, finally?
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
He's good.
It's going to be awesome when the Padres trade Wandy Peralta to the Yankees for Dax Kilby.
Next Paul O'Neill.
Now, let's not give that out there. I mean, I hope Spencer Jones figures it out. I don't really want to take the risk that he doesn't here. That's where I'm at with that. We need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. If you could take me down in sports trivia, you would be qualified for a chance at our grand prize. A 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 food and beverage credit. Oasis Pool Deck at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas is officially open for the season, offering a 6-acre elevated pool experience with 6 distinct pools and Live Beach. Enter to win a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, and a $150 food and beverage credit. To book your stay, visit FontainebleauLasVegas.com. Now, we do that when we return on the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Urban Sports Station 97 to the Fan. 1240 on the Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to have an NFL training camp reports, honing in on one team per division. We're going to do this every day as we lead you up to the NFL season. We're going to do it at 1 o'clock every single day. We got some news with Sean Lewis getting a new contract amid their move to the Power Act 12. And then we'll get you a preview of Padres and Giants with Bob Scanlan joining us at 1:35, all coming up in the next hour. But before we get to that, we need to get to today's midday sports standoff, trying to get somebody qualified to win a trip to Fontainebleau, Las Vegas.
For Kevin.
Okay, they have 4, so that means they're what, at like 8 or something like that? And I swear Oregon's got more than...
Again, I'm going. This is straight off the College Football Playoff website.
Okay. It says Oregon has played in 6.
I can show you my work here. This is I can't show you my work.
I was going to say because Oregon played in the Rose Bowl and the National Championship in 2014. They played in the Rose Bowl in 2024, and last year they beat James Madison. They beat Texas Tech, and they lost. They played in 3 themselves. Are they just talking about last year? Or are they just talking about the 12-team format? Which that also wouldn't make any sense because Alabama has a 14 on there. Uh-oh. All right, well, let's try to get back on track on this. All right, so, Oregon definitely has 6.
Sounds like Kevin's going to 54 Beach. Is what it sounds
Oregon's
like.
got 6. Miami had, 4? This list is all jacked up now.
This is not a second-rate fan site. This is literally collegefootballplayoff.com. It's literally what this is.
Is there like an added letter in there? It's like a fake one?
No.
Fake college football. Did you get this from Scraby's internet?
Yes, I did. This is Scraby's internet.
All right,
Sorry.
I would go with Clemson with my next guess.
Clemson was number 3 on this FUBARD list.
Allegedly. How many have they played in, allegedly?
It says 11.
Allegedly?
Well, yeah, FUBARD list. Kevin?
Of recent years, I guess, Michigan Wolverines.
They are on this FUBARD list, yes. Said they had 4.
This is like ridiculous.
There's 3 teams left, and 2 of them are rather big names.
Well, I know. See, this is where I know this. They have to be on here because this was always funny, and I hope he's still watching in the YouTube chat. Zonder. Zonder is a big Oklahoma fan. Oklahoma 0-4 in the college football playoff.
Oklahoma is on here, yes.
They tied with Texas with 4 games.
I believe so, yes. Kevin,
have we clarified? I guess I'll go with LSU because I know they won the title.
Yes, LSU was on the list. Yes, I believe we've gotten basically to the point where Kevin's clinched himself.
You're just gonna give it to him.
He's clinched. He's gotten enough correct answers. Let's be honest here. He's gotten enough correct answers.
They had to have at least 3 games, right? That's not the deal. Well, Penn State played 3 games a couple years ago.
Yes, Penn State was on this list as well. There's one more.
I think I know what it is.
Kevin, for funsies.
Is Braden's TCU in there?
We only have 2 games.
No. Braden, go ahead. Again, you're already qualified.
My
Kevin.
guess would be Washington.
And yes, that was the other one on the list. Yes. So this is congratulations, Kevin. Hang on the line. You will be going to Fontainebleau.
Okay, what site do I have to go to here?
It's literally collegefootballplayoff.com.
And it says team appearances.
All-time college football playoff appearances by team.
Yeah. It's got to not have last year in there or something. It doesn't have last year in there. That's the problem.
Okay.
They didn't update it because Texas Tech's not on there, and they definitely played it a game.
Okay.
They are updated through 2024, 2025. So that was all-time appearances, not including last year. So the only teams that got hosed on that, Oregon was already on your list, but
Oregon was already
they would have a lot more games than the 3. And then the teams that were not on there were Miami, who he was one of his guesses, which was
Oklahoma.
4.
Yeah. Oklahoma has 4. That was at the bottom of the list, but yes, I do remember that Oklahoma was 4. So it was 12 teams. So we got it. We nailed it. Just we took a roundabout way of getting there.
If you base it on like overall standings and win percentage, the worst team in the college football playoff is Oklahoma.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
0-4, baby.
Kevin, hang on the line. You did a great job today. Filing through the disaster.
0-4. Tell Frank to never trust Scraby's sites.
What do you mean MattScravyTrivia.com isn't the best site to go to?
Yeah, Matt Scravy Trivia. You know what? Wednesdays is trivia night at Naughty Barrel. I know there's trivia night all over the place. There's a bunch of different companies that do it. I would love to attend trivia night that was Scraby Chronicles Trivia.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. That'd be so funny. Like, everyone, you would be like, are you sure about that? Even if you knew it was right, you could just drop the, are you sure about that? And then Scraby would be like, he'd start second-guessing himself.
Yes, Jake, go ahead. You can.
Yeah, you get a foul.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll take it.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
I'll take a tech for the question and also the ill-preparedness.
Well, you get a
of
common foul,
myself.
too, so fire up
that's
Chevy
fair.
Chase, too.
He draws the foul.
There it is.
That's my 5 for today. Uh-oh.
You're gonna foul out for the last hour. Well, you know what? We have Scan coming on the last segment, so maybe. Our guy Zonder texted me. He's the Oklahoma fan. He was like, I don't appreciate the Oklahoma hate on the show. Well, you better get used to it. So.
I mean, I don't mind Oklahoma. I personally don't mind Oklahoma.
I don't like Oklahoma.
I'm sure you don't.
I don't like Oklahoma. I don't like Texas. We could have had a great thing with the Big 12, but they decided
nobody
to get
likes
greedy.
Texas.
No, the eyes of Texas are upon you. They suck. Yeah, I don't like either of those. My pen got completely jacked up. I literally clicked it.
Why were you smacking it?
No, I right there. I was trying to get all the pieces. I literally clicked it, and the whole thing. I don't know if you can see it. The whole thing just fell apart.
Oh, what? You cracked the plastic case?
Every piece just fell apart. That's it.
What in the world did you do? Did you crack the plastic case?
It might have been. Oh, I pulled that out of the bag. It could have got cracked in the bag. Maybe that was the.
And then when you knocked it, it just.
I literally just clicked it.
Oh.
I was knocking it after the fact to try to like fix it, but that's not the case. I'm gonna see if I can put this together here.
Xander Brayfield.
Zonder.
Zonder Brayfield.
Yeah, he's one of the. He's a USD student.
Okay.
He's a USD student
that
is from Oklahoma, so he's a big Oklahoma fan.
I got you now.
So it's fun to just kind of like rub it in his face that they're 0-4 in the.
I won
in the deal.
Won a national championship with Oklahoma in NCAA 25.
Good. I'm sure they hung the banner up at.
They did, yeah.
At their stadium.
They did.
Yeah. They're
I got hosed on
their
one
T-shirt
too.
fans are so into it, they might actually believe that they actually won that year.
I got hosed on one too. Last play of the game, I'm playing my friend because, of course, we all did SEC teams. And last play of the game, like maybe a 35-yard go route, all go. And my receiver had it in his hands in the back of the end zone and then dropped it with no time left on the clock.
Pain.
That one had me on my knees. I was not happy with that one.
Pain.
Would have been 2, only 1.
I forgot that. Were they? Oklahoma was in it last year, weren't they? Were they in the playoff last year?
I don't think Oklahoma was in the playoff.
Were they in the playoff last year?
No, I don't think so.
I think they were. Yeah, they were. They lost to Alabama in the 8-9 matchup.
Oh,
they didn't deserve to be there.
They
didn't deserve to be there, but they were in it. So they're actually 0-5.
They were beating Alabama too, and then Alabama came back. I remember that because we were at the holiday party that night. Yep.
You could take Oklahoma out of the Big 12, but you can't take the Big 12 out of Oklahoma. Yep. Rough.
What's Blake Griffin up to these days? Still jumping over cars?
They had the Griffin. They had Blake and his brother. I think everybody forgot about his brother. They were on the same team at Oklahoma.
Yeah, what the heck was his brother's name?
I don't remember. I think it also started with a B, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I forgot Oklahoma made the bracket last year, probably because they didn't deserve to be in it. just like a lot of these SEC schools. How about the fact, too, like, as the timer got to go off?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
How about, like, Pat McAfee talking about, like, oh, I'd like to see somebody else do this 9-game schedule in the SEC. Oh, you mean the 9-game SEC schedule they haven't done yet?
Yeah, someone who
never done it yet?
Done by someone who hadn't done it?
Yeah. Hey, man, we don't knock West Virginia as the part of the Big 12.
He thought it's a punter, dude. Like,
it's a good punter. I thought he brought up a good point
punter.
About how more of a football player he is than certain people. Speaking of football, we talk about it next. Did you take care of Kevin and foul? He got foul out today. Foul out Friday on a Thursday, man. Almost there, dude. You're almost at the week. You know what? This is because you now have to come in and help run.
He draws the foul.
You have to come in and help run the round table. And so now you have an extra hour on Thursdays. I think it's gassing you out. I think, I think this next hour is just rough for Frank because he's used to doing the 4. He's got the 5 today. Is that what it is?
I make no excuses for my playing here today. I will say this, though. That bed was a little hard last night.
Ah, there it is.
So, like I'm saying, I'm not making many excuses, but,
We need you to be more Big Ten and less SEC. You see the Cignetti clip?
Yes.
Oh, Cignetti's great. When he got hired at Indiana, I was like, oh, man. Did you see the clip? We got to play the clip. I got to hear what this. I got to hear it. I got to hear it.
I got to play the clip.
Oh, man, I got to do my job.
No, I got to play the clip, but at the same time, I got to take care of Kevin. And
well, I'm going to get to Chris and Script Ranch before you get to Kevin. So, we only have, I will not. That's not your fault. That's more of a technology thing. Cignetti, Indiana's head football coach, was at Big Ten Media Days and took a shot at the SEC today. It was great.
The Big Ten is the best league in football. And a lot of really good football teams. It's hard to win on the road. Very physical football teams, very well coached. It definitely prepares you for the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. The numbers speak for themselves. We don't run a hype machine up here in the Midwest. We believe everything's earned, not given. And when we fall short, we say we fell short. We don't cry a river, whine, and complain. All right? And that's why we're the best.
Coach Cignetti, thank you so much for your...
Look me up. I win. I thought that was funny when he took over the Indiana job. It's awesome. Now it's just kind of like, you know what? He called the shot.
Yeah. Babe Ruth nailed it.
I don't think they're the best. There's too many bad teams in the Big Ten for me to agree with that. He just wants to hype everybody up and not be bulletin board material. But,
it's Media Day.
But it's like... they're not the best conference. There's too many bad teams in the Big Ten. The conferences are too big. They're way too big. There's too much crap in all these conferences.
We don't.
But I do like them calling out the SEC. It's great.
We don't run a hype machine. Coach is the most hyped team all last year. What did they do last year?
They backed up the hype, though.
They won a national title.
Look me up. I win.
It's one thing if they got knocked out in the first round. They won the Natty last year.
That's right. The Big Ten is not the best conference. I
You're
can't
right.
say that.
It's the Power Act.
You're about to get suspended.
Foul. No, 2 fouls.
All right, 833-288-973, 833-288-973. Chris and Script Ranch, save us from this foul machine that is Frank Marchese.
All right. Hey, what's up, Frank? What's up, Braden? How you guys doing?
Doing well. Hey, you know what? How did you play? How was OTL for you?
We did all right. Grand Old Barbecue came in that 5th, 6th spot, so we did all right. We did pretty good. But John's Auto won and Valley Farms came in 2nd, so it was a good tournament. A lot of the top teams that were supposed to be there were there, so it was pretty exciting. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, it's great. I had somebody ask, how did Chris do? And I was like, I don't know. I didn't see him out there. Probably because you got to buy and we're already in the second weekend. Some of us had to grind through the first weekend. But what do you got for us today?
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to try to get you looking forward where the ball might be with the CBA and the next year's season. If we're worried about that at all, are you guys concerned about getting an agreement done?
I think they are going to get an agreement done. I really do. I think it's going to be difficult because I don't think the owners are going to not take a salary cap, but I do think the players are going to get a lot back. I think they're going to get a lot of perks back, and I think the owners are willing to give him a lot of perks because at this point, like the owners definitely want a salary cap because it sets fixed costs, if you will, to the valuations of their franchises, where it's not open-ended of, how much does payroll cost? Well, we don't really know because it could be all over the place. So their intentions are obviously to make their franchise more valuable. But I think at the end of the day, the players are going to get back, like league minimum is going to be higher. I think the players are going to get back, maybe getting to free agency faster. So I think there's going to be a lot that they get back in return. I think it's going to be one of those deals where it's like almost like trading Mason Miller. You better get a haul in return. But, Chris, I mean, you've been obviously a player in Major League Baseball. You kind of know how the Players Association works. I mean, from your perspective, how does this work on the players' end when they do these types of negotiations, and how do you get informed about this?
Well, I mean, it really was a star-driven league when I was in there, so it's basically catered to the stars making as much money as possible. And the guys that were in the lower run, I mean, our minimum was like a couple $100,000, which is fine, but it wasn't, the discrepancy between the top and the bottom was a lot. So I agree with you. I think if they brought the minimum up to like $1 million, and then second-year guys make like $2 million, and maybe the third-year guys make $4 million, and then you go to arbitration after year 4 to become a free agent faster. And I'm thinking you bring the floor up, right? You make these teams spend about $120, and then you could cap it at around $260. And if half the teams are at, if that's at like 190 times 30, you're at what they're spending right now, which is like $5.7 billion. So I think there's room. It's just a matter of whether or not the stars are going to be going with it, because I think most players would be like, yeah, I'd like to spend a couple years, 3 years, maybe I only get 4 years in the big leagues, and come out of it with something beyond just minimum for the first 3 years. So I think there should be something like that. But I agree. I think we're on the same page. And I got to go right now, but I like the discussion. I'd like to see what you guys thought. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, Chris. Appreciate that. I'd like to have Chris call in maybe again next week. I mean, I was going to ask a follow-up. I mean, based on what he said, right? I mean, he's been in there. We heard the story from Derek and LaMesa too, who also was one of the guys that was, at the lower end in a star-driven deal. I mean, as much as everybody always wants to like put the players against the owners and like, woe is me. I mean, they really shut off most of the players in the Players Association that might want to sign the deal that makes it work out for them when you have the top 1% of stars calling all the shots. I am curious if the bottom half, if really like the bottom 75%, because like it's really like the top 10% that dictates everything that the players do. So the bottom 90%, I wonder how much pressure they will put themselves, like how much pressure they will endure before they start flipping the pressure on the top 10% of earners in Major League Baseball, where they go, you guys need to sign this deal because I need to get back to work because, I need to have some funds. I think that's where you have a little bit of a discrepancy, because here's the reality of this players versus owners. The owners are all relatively in the same kind of group, right? They all make around the same kind of money. They don't get as easily affected by it as like the players that have this gigantic disparity between the Shohei Ohtanis and Juan Sotos of the world and the Ron Marinaccios of the world. Like that's a huge gap that they have to all be in unison for. And 90% can't all sacrifice so the top 10% continues to get top level money that's willing to wait out for a couple of years because they got more money than they can even handle. I think that's where the players are in a little bit of a jam when it comes to this conversation. I really do. We'll get more to. I'm sure we'll have more conversations about this as we progress. I do want to get to, though, and we have it set up. It is our daily NFL camp report. Almost everybody has reported to training camp now, getting closer to football. A week from today, we will have NFL football on TV. And I don't know. I think we might have the game if we're not playing. This is the home of the NFL, 97.3 The Fan. But we got a lot of updates to get to. Let's fire up the music and let's let you know what's going on. And one team per division in their training camp. All right, Frank. Still here after getting fouled out today.
Yeah, I know, right? And halfway there tomorrow. All right, let's start in Buffalo, where Josh Allen may have already found his new favorite target. The Bills' biggest offseason addition, DJ Moore, has made highlight catches in back-to-back practices, and Allen's admitted he stopped trying to be perfect with his throws and simply trusted Moore to make the play. It's only 2 days into camp, but the chemistry is obvious. Does adding a true number one receiver like DJ Moore unlock another MVP level from Josh Allen, or has Buffalo always been more about Josh Allen than who he's been throwing to?
I think the team's been mostly about Josh Allen. And I don't think it's like a system issue. A system is the reason why Josh Allen is good. They've never really had great number one receivers there. They've had guys that used to be great number one receivers, but I don't see DJ Moore saving this team. I really don't. I think they could have invested better in helping Josh Allen as much as they can. I mean, they have him under contract. Maybe this is a situation where Josh Allen could, take a little bit less money, maybe get a bonus to get an actual receiver. They got a decent line there. The running game finally has subsided. And so now it's about getting some type of better players in there, I think, to help Josh Allen, to put him over the hump, because they've done everything else around this team, and they haven't had a big playmaker, and I don't think DJ Moore is truly a number one receiver. I think he's more of a two than anything else. So he's going to help Josh Allen, but I don't necessarily think this is the big move that needed to take him over the top. I don't think it is. So I'm sure things are clicking right now with the Bills and Josh Allen and DJ Moore. It's been a couple of days, but we'll see how they look like in games here in the next not-so-distant future.
Quote the Raven, Baltimore may have found a surprise. Rookie receiver Jacoby Lane made arguably the catch of camp, skying over Marlon Humphrey for a 30-yard grab from Lamar Jackson. Coaches say confidence is obvious, and suddenly there's real competition for the Ravens' third receiver spot. What does Lamar Jackson need more this season? Another reliable wide receiver, or another playoff run that finally changes his postseason reputation? Unquote the Raven.
He needs to win some games in the postseason, and if more receivers help him do that, fine. But he hasn't been that great of a passer. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff with his legs. He has had good years where he's won a couple of MVPs, where he's had more time to throw. But, he had Derrick Henry back there that can kind of alleviate some of the running, and he was able to throw it around last year, and he was okay. It wasn't very good. So, and I don't think it's because they didn't have any receivers. Lamar Jackson's been given a lot of opportunity in Baltimore and a lot of weapons in Baltimore. He needs to start getting the job done in the postseason, and not just the regular season. I think a lot of the regular season success has been because of some of the talent they've had and good coaching, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they don't have John Harbaugh now. They thought getting rid of him was going to be a good decision, and you know what? We'll see. Maybe the John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson relationship ran its course, and you need a new, fresh face in there to kind of lighten it up. But until Lamar Jackson starts winning playoff games, it's going to be hard for him to kick that narrative. I mean, he's done very well in the regular season every single year. The Ravens have done really well in the regular season every single year. It's the postseason that's been the problem for Lamar. He needs to be better in that category.
Next team up, it would be
the Denver Broncos.
Bo Nix looked completely healthy Wednesday after offseason ankle surgery. Sean Payton said he's pleased with Nix's conditioning, and Denver's quarterback looked comfortable throwing in the red zone during the Broncos' first training camp workout. Is Bo Nix ready to become a franchise quarterback, or do we still need to see him beat the AFC's elite before buying in?
I thought he had a pretty good year last year. I think he was a big reason why the Broncos were pretty good. They also had a really good defense. I think you need to see a little bit more out of Bo Nix, just like we said about the Patriots the other day with Drake May.
the fact that Sean Payton believes in him, I think it goes a long way. They didn't believe in Russell Wilson. You saw the disaster that he was in Denver. But I think with Bo Nix, they finally have some stability. I don't necessarily know if Bo Nix is a franchise quarterback, but he's definitely a quarterback that's good enough to advance you through the playoffs. I think he's going to need a little bit more help. And, by the way, the AFC is loaded. They have Mahomes. They have Allen. They have Burrow. They have Lamar. They have, Justin Herbert, who's about to get married. Looking good in July doesn't mean winning in January, and the AFC's got a lot of good teams. So I'm going to have to see a little bit more out of Bo Nix. It's good to know that he is looking healthy because he had a very scary injury at the end of last year in the postseason. If he overcomes that, it has another good year, some years of consistency, he could be one of the next level franchise quarterbacks you see, not only in the AFC, but in the NFL. Let's move on to the NFC.
Everyone's favorite, the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, goody, here we go. George Pickens is entering a contract. George Pickens is entering a contract year on the franchise tag, and Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer says he's never seen Pickens this locked in during meetings. Dallas also enters camp with one of the healthiest rosters in football. Can Pickens finally become the consistent superstar everyone believes he can be, or will maturity always be the question with him?
I don't think he could be a consistent superstar. I really don't. He had a good year last year with Dallas. I'm not really buying it. I mean, eventually, there's some people can change, some people can't. I don't think it's worth giving him like $35 million a year. I don't think he needs to get paid like CD Lamb does. I think it works out right now on the franchise tag, but I'd be looking elsewhere at the end of the year unless he has just an unbelievable season with the Dallas Cowboys next year. I've said it a bunch of times. Receivers are a dime a dozen. You can find production out of a lot of receivers, especially if you already have a number one and they have a number one with CD Lamb.
I believe this is going to be the last one we have time for here, unfortunately.
The Bears. The Bears.
Roma Dunze says everyone misunderstood his comments about his injured foot. He says he feels amazing, isn't thinking about the injury anymore, and believes he could post 100 catches and 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns this season, even with Caleb Williams spreading the ball around with plenty of weapons. Who has more pressure in Chicago this season, Odunze or Caleb Williams?
I think Caleb Williams, because I think Roma Dunze is easily replaceable. I know he wants to be a receiver number one production. He might be putting a lot of pressure on himself, but I don't think the Bears really need to put pressure on him. They have other options. But Caleb Williams was brought in to be the franchise quarterback. Expectations are sky high. Every offensive player depends on him. Can he have 2 years in a row where he looks really good? And I think they're with Ben Johnson or the new head coach there last year. They worked out really well. With his offense, you saw it in Detroit. He turned it into Chicago. They got a lot. They have created opportunities for success for Caleb Williams. I think this is the year that he has to make the next step. But that is where the pressure is at for the Chicago Bears. It's on Caleb Williams. We talked about Atlanta already, but Tua Tagovailoa was back at practice, but didn't participate in team drills because of a tight back. Michael Penix Jr. still not cleared for 11-on-11 work, so that's interesting for the Falcons because of a quarterback competition in Arizona. I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. did not have a great couple of days in camp. I mean, he heard all the criticism after a couple of drops went viral on social media, and he got it there He got there early Wednesday morning, catch some extra balls off the jugs machine before anybody else arrived. He's trying to respond to maybe some of the criticism they already got, which is good about a player. We'll see how the Cardinals do without Kyler Murray. I don't believe Kyler Murray as a franchise-level quarterback. He gets hurt all the time. We'll see if he wins the job in Minnesota, but the quarterback room in Arizona is not very good, and they're one of the worst franchises in all of sports. So good thing for Marvin Harrison Jr. He went out there and tried to own it and get better, but that's our camp report. We'll get to another one again tomorrow. Coming up next, we got an update on Aztec football and a little preview of Padres and Giants. Bob Scanlan joins us after. Braden Surprenant Show. Final hour, San Diego's number sports station, 97 to the Fan. San Diego FC finally find the missing piece. Club introduced new designated player Elias Okuri this week, and unlike the Chucky Lozano signing, The move was made by sporting director Tyler Heaps and coach Mikey Varas after months of scouting to make sure he fits the team's culture and style. Then, just hours later, San Diego picked up a huge 1-0 victory over FC Dallas behind Alejandro Alvarado Jr.'s first MLS goal and a game-saving defensive play from Mano Dua in stoppage time. After blowing late leads all season, San Diego FC finally finished a match. Now the question becomes, can Corey help lead San Diego back into the playoff race? Second half of the season starts now. And we look at the way that they were able to revive themselves over the weekend, got that extra player they needed, Frank, and ended up getting a 1-0 victory.
Yeah, the club officially announced Tunisian international winger Elias Achouri as its newest designated player, and just hours later earned a much-needed 1-0 victory over FC Dallas. So after months of late game collapses and inconsistent play, they showed signs of San Diego FC that we remember from last year and before the start of this season. It was a very, very big weekend for San Diego FC for sure.
Which started with a very frustrating week, obviously, because they suffered a heartbreaking 1-0 loss at Colorado after conceding a goal in stoppage time, continuing a troubling trend of giving away points late in matches. But the response against FC Dallas was exactly what this club needed. Alejandro Alvarado Jr. scored his first MLS goal to give San Diego the lead. Mano Dua made a spectacular recovery block in stoppage time to preserve the victory, and it marked the club's first win since May, and more importantly, proved they can finally close out a match. They needed that in the biggest way.
Yeah, first win since May. They haven't played since about May because of the World Cup, so it's not like a big dry spell for them. But yeah, this was a huge comeback victory, and for Alvarado, a huge announce yourself moment for them. We talked about it on the show on Monday about him consistently trying to be more of a team player and be a playmaker and look for the perfect pass. Instead of just going out there and taking the moment for himself, he does that, takes a long shot from outside the box and rolls it on through for the one and only goal in the 50th minute of that game on Saturday night. So big moment for Alvarado. And again, it felt like a turning point for San Diego FC.
San Diego now travels to face Minnesota United, one of the Western Conference's toughest teams at home. Big question is whether San Diego FC can build on the momentum from the Dallas victory before opening a very important Leagues Cup play against Club Tijuana next week. I mean, it's only one game, but I feel like, the consistencies or the trend lines and the mirroring between the Padres and San Diego FC both need a better second half. Both have shown that they can compete at a high level. Both haven't been able to finish, and both finally started to do that, but need to do it on a consistent basis. We saw that San Diego FC can be the team that you expect them to be, but can they do that more than just once a week? That's going to be the big question leading into a very tough stretch for them in the second half.
Yeah, and right now, San Diego FC currently sees themselves within striking position as far as the standings out west are concerned. They currently sit at 20 points, and the cut line is 25. That's 2 wins. Right. Actually, no, I'm sorry. The cut line sits at 23. That's 2 wins. That's an win. And you're playing the team that currently holds that cut line position, that playoff position right now in Minnesota. They're sitting 1 point behind Seattle. Houston and Dallas are 26 points. They're 5 and 6. And St. Louis City is at 25 points, and they're sitting 7th. So you're not far away. You can still make moves, and there's a lot of time left in this season. You're going to be playing a lot of games here very, very close because you had to stop for the World Cup break. But still, a playoff spot is certainly not out of the question. You look and see, they're 12th in standings. They're a win away from being a playoff team. So, yes, they could be doing a lot better, but they're not far off of where they need to be.
Elias Achouri, too, is, a new designated player. And, Chucky Lozano, obviously, he's got a cult following, and they were on display over the weekend. And we mentioned this on the show. I mean, with the problems that San Diego FC has, Chucky Lozano's not fixing those problems. This is not a byproduct of not having him part of the team anymore. But which is interesting about Achouri is, They signed Lozano to be that like mainstay guy, the promotion face of the franchise to get people engaged with San Diego.
125 on a Thursday. Got some non-ball knowers in the chat out there. Anyway, let's get to what we wanted to talk about here, and that is little Aztec football for you. And they're going to start camp. I don't know. When do they start camp? Wasn't my week to watch. Come on, power up.
When do who start camp?
San Diego State.
Okay, calm down, relax.
They should be starting relatively soon, I would imagine. But we got some information on revenue sharing. We got some information on the Pac-12 media rights. We got some information on the Aztecs giving Sean Lewis a contract extension. That came out in the UT a couple of days ago to kind of get ready for Aztec football. It's going to be here before you know it against Portland State. They play Portland State on August 29th, I think.
And just to be clear, it's not a contract extension. It's a contract renegotiation.
Renegotiated, got a bump.
Yes, because of the move to the Power Act 12.
The Power Act 12. All right, so San Diego State officially embraced its move into the Pac-12 during Football Media Day for them because the Pac-12 didn't have one. But beyond the excitement, the biggest story from Kirk Kenney over the weekend, last weekend, was what comes next financially. The conference move is already impacting head coach Sean Lewis's contract, future television revenue, NIL spending, expectations for the football program, and the message from athletic director John David Wicker was clear. The Pac-12 move isn't about changing conferences. It's about investing more money, increasing national exposure, and expecting football to compete at a significantly higher level. Sean Lewis is due for a raise. Sean Lewis enters year 3 of a 5-year deal, scheduled to make approximately $1.95 million this season. His contract specifically included language that required renegotiation if San Diego State changed conferences. Pac-12 move officially activated that clause. J.D. Wicker's comments, San Diego State already negotiating an extension, and his goal is to add years and increase compensation. Wants Lewis in the top half of the Pac-12 salaries. Current Pac-12 salaries. Jim Mora Jr. is the highest paid coach of the Pac-12. Who's Jim Mora Jr. coach for, Frank?
Why does Washington State?
That would not be correct.
Yeah, I didn't think so, but that was the first team that came to mind.
Jim Mora Jr. They got him from UConn.
Okay, but UConn's not in the Power Act 12.
That's where he came from. Colorado State. He's the head coach of Colorado State.
Oh, well, there you go.
He's getting $2.4 million this year. Let me ask you this. If you had to guess what schools were paying the most out of the 8 schools in the Power Act 12, Colorado State is paying Jim Mora Jr. the highest salary. Who is paying their coach $2.1 million? Number 2.
Boise State.
Boise State. Spencer Danielson's getting $2.1 million. Who's paying their coach $2.06 million? Third on the list.
Would it be San Diego State?
Sean Lewis is the 5th highest paid coach in the Pac-12 at $1.95 million. This guy's getting $60,000 more than the next guy who's getting
Fresno.
$2 million. No, good get. Fresno's actually paying their coach the least. Matt Entz is getting $1.35 million.
Okay. Oregon State.
Oregon State's the second least, $1.6 million for Jamarcus Shepard.
Texas State.
Texas State's the third lowest.
Oh, my God.
G.J. Kine, Texas State's head coach, is getting $1.7 million.
I am nailing this list just backwards, though.
Just backwards. Sean Lewis was the next guy. So you're down to 2 teams left. They're paying their coaches $2.06 million and $2 million.
Washington State.
That would be the 4th. One off. Yeah, you got it perfectly in reverse order. Bronco Mendenhall is the head coach at Utah State. He's getting $2.06 million. Frankie went off to a new level. Lewis didn't publicly push for money. Instead, he wants stability, wants what's best for the program. You know, he's got a lot of coach speak. What's interesting is the Pac-12 money, okay? What did we think? Did you see these numbers?
No.
What did we think? What was trying to be sold to us about the Pac-12 and their TV money and how much money they would get per school? Do you remember, based on what everybody, what the other power conferences are getting?
No, I don't. I do not know, no.
I mean,
I think that was... Wasn't that the big thing where they were not telling us what the television contracts were?
Yeah, but they were throwing, guys like John Wilner were throwing out numbers that you would want them to, that you're hoping for. The Big 12 is getting upwards of $50 million a school. And everybody was the Pac-12 bros were always we're a Power 4 school. We're going to get a bunch of money.
Why does $6 million ring a bell?
Because that's what they actually got. They were people were saying the move to the Pac-12 was going to get you $15 million a year.
Yeah, no, they actually
$12
they
million
got
a year. So the report suggests that the Mountain West payout is approximately $3.5 million annually now.
Can we just not gloss over the fact that I was right for once instead of being one off?
Well, you weren't right in the sense of what they thought they were going to get.
Oh,
You're right
okay.
in what they actually got.
Actually did get. Yeah.
They were expected. Some people thought they were going to get $12 million a school, which is a lot better than $3.5 million that the Mountain West is paying. The Pac-12 roughly doubled that amount. So each school gets about $7 million annually. But there's expenses, including they have to pay the Mountain West exit fees, production costs, increased travel, conference obligations. So San Diego State is not simply going to pocket the millions of extra dollars immediately by being in the Pac-12. They will get more exposure than revenue, which I think is a positive. Games are going to appear on the CBS Sports Network, the CW and USA Network, which is a lot better than what it was with the Mountain West. So instead of being buried on regional broadcasts, they're going to have more national exposure. That is the biggest news about this move to the Pac-12. That's one of the signs. I give the Pac-12 a lot of grief because of the fact that they think that they're a power conference and they're not. But this is way better than being in the Mountain West. You doubled your money in terms of payouts, and you're going to be on not only CBS, but CW, which is on over-the-air television, USA Network. It's more national broadcast. You're not going to be buried on the Mountain West Network or Stadium or having to watch online or some BS. All of your football games are going to be with a national exposure, which is beneficial. Is it on ESPN or ABC or Fox? No. But you know what? At least it gets you, you're not trapped on ESPN Plus. You're not trapped on, the Mountain West app. I mean, you're not trapped on some areas that are behind a paywall. It's good. So Aztecs are spending more. It's not really close to what everybody else is doing in Power 4 schools. Again, if you want to call yourself, if you want to say the Pac-12 is a power conference, let's just think about it from this perspective. The ACC on average is spending $19.3 million on their football roster. You follow me, Frank? The Big 12 is spending $20.5 million on their rosters. The Big 10 per school, $24 million. The SEC, $28 million. Highest payrolls, Texas, $46 million. Oregon, $43. Ohio State, Miami, LSU, all in the top 5 for highest payrolls that they're giving out their players. Aztecs are record fundraising. Nearly $8 million in fundraising. Their football spending is $5 million. So around $4.5 million from revenue sharing, additional NIL support. I love the fact that the Aztecs football program is getting more money, which is awesome, but it fails in comparison to all the Power 4 schools and the programs in the Power 4. So even with record fundraising, San Diego State still spends roughly 1/4 of many Power 4 schools. That's obviously a huge competitive disadvantage for the Aztecs. They need to raise more. That's unfortunate. This is what San Diego State can't control. They have a tough going of having to try to spend money with everybody else when they have the limited TV contract that they have. It's better. They've put themselves in a better position, but this is not we want to finish here in the Pac-12. This needs to be a stepping stone to hopefully something more if you're San Diego State. That to me is where this goes. So it's an improvement. It works out from that perspective. That's great. but it's not something to write home about yet. And hopefully we can generate some more fans for Aztec football. But Aztecs open practice August 5th. They scrimmage themselves August 15th. Season opener September 5th. We're getting closer to Aztec football. We're getting closer to having Bob Scanlan on. He will join us next to preview Padres and Giants, give us a recap of this last week, and maybe figure out what he hears on the rumor mill when it comes to trade deadline stuff. We'll get to that next. Braden Surprenant Show, live and locally each every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Do this once a week, usually on Thursdays. Joining us on the SDCCU Fan Hotline, it's not Big Bank Banking, it's Better is Bob Scanlan. Haven't talked to him in a little bit. He was on the radio a little bit this week due to some moving parts. It's always great to hear Bob on our airwaves during Padre games. Bob, what's going on? How was the radio calls this week?
Oh, hey, Braden, it was fun. I always have a good time working with Jesse. He does a great job with the play-by-play. It's always fun to be by his side and be able to contribute a little analyst work. So it was super fun, and it's always fun when you're talking about Padres wins too, right?
Yeah, this week's a lot more fun than would have been last week. That when we got preempted by the Padres and Braves game. I mean, last Thursday was arguably one of the roughest losses you had to see, with getting out on Chris Sale and then giving it up late, and 3 one-run losses in Atlanta. You had a 1-run loss in Kansas City. But collectively on all, those 2 particular road series, the offense was showing up and showing out. You got some good pitching with this chaos pitching over the weekend, and now the Padres have won 5 straight. It's not that surprising the way the offense has played the last month and a half that they have started to get on a roll right now.
Yeah, always a good sign, right? And that was what the team was waiting for a long time, was for the offense to kick in, and they certainly have. I mean, you went back a month and a half. I'm just looking at the month of July. They've been averaging 5.13 runs per game, which is the 7th best in Major League Baseball now. Prior to that, they were 3.9 runs per game, which was second last in all of Major League Baseball. So you're absolutely right. That's been a huge turnaround. Obviously, the cornerstone of that is Manny. He's been doing great for almost 2 months now. Fernando's been consistent. Ty France has been a huge contributor here over the last several weeks. Jay Cronenworth's return has certainly been helpful. And then, Jackson Merrill is been one of the hottest hitters as well. Maybe not most consistent. Seems like there'll be games where he has no hits, but the games where he does have a hit, he's getting 2 or 3 of them. So he's been, getting back to being Jackson Merrill. And then, he had nice contributions from Luis Rengifo as well since he's joined the ball club. So you put it all together, and all of a sudden, to your point, offense is starting to kick it in. Unfortunately, it's been the pitching that's been the challenge now. I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah, let's talk about the pitching. And I want to know it from, your perspective as a former pitcher, because there's a lot that goes into pitching. We've talked about this in the past. There's a difference between being a starter and being a bullpen guy. And, I commend this staff for coming up with solutions to try to win. I mean, that's what you want out of your coaching staff. This is the roster we have, with the injuries built in. This is what we're able to do, and we're going to go with this, chaos pitching that they have talked about that Detroit did. Before we get into the details of how the Padres are doing it, Bob, as a former pitcher, is this something that's difficult to deal with if you're a pitcher, in terms of like not knowing if you're starting or coming out of the bullpen? Is this kind of fun, being, ready and hot every single day? I know Kyle Hart seems like he kind of enjoys it, but, what's your perspective if they were going to roll this out? I know it was different times then. If they were going to roll this out as you being a pitcher, what's it from the perspective of guys that have to live this every day?
Yeah, and you made reference to it. It would have been much different in my era than it is in this era, right? So I think it would have been much more difficult back in my day of pitching, because guys were much more, settled into what their job was and what their role was. And you didn't do this, I mean, it's like your starters were expected to go 6, 7, 8 innings every time. And that's just the way it was, Now, there were certain circumstances where you might have to have a bullpen day because, a guy got knocked out of the game early, or, a late injury or whatever it may be. But for the most part, guys weren't moving back and forth in these different roles. Nowadays, I think players are much more adaptable on both sides, both the position players, right? I mean, it used to be you were a second baseman and that's what you did. You maybe had one utility guy on your team, and he was kind of the utility guy because he wasn't that great at any of the other positions. But nowadays, guys are expected to be a second baseman, and you can also go to left field if we need you to. And, you're going to play some third base today. Now we're going to slide you over to first. So I think players in general have become more exposed to being adaptable to these situations, and I think it holds true for the pitching staff as well. Is it ideal? I don't think so. I think guys, they're kind of making the best of it and handling it as well as they possibly can. But I think if you ask most of the guys, they would prefer to know what their role was and sort of be able to both physically and mentally prepare for that on a consistent basis and sort of get into their routines. I mean, they're human beings, right? Human beings generally like a comfortable routine that they know that they can depend on. But that being said, these guys are doing what they're being asked to do. I think the organization, Craig Stammen and the coaching staff are doing everything they possibly can to communicate with these guys, which is hugely important. Players always appreciate that. And the more you can do that, the better off it's going to be in terms of taking away some of that uncertainty. But, from week to week, it's different. And JP Sears is starting today. Last week, he was the piggyback guy off Randy Vasquez. So, every 4 or 5 days, it can change in terms of, are you preparing as a starter? Are you coming out of the bullpen? But again, they're doing the best they can with it. To your point, credit to the organization for just trying to be open-minded to these things and saying, look, what do we need to do to get the most out of these guys? And you'll hear it from coaches all the time. Put them in positions where they can be successful. And right now, this seems to be the formula that they're trying. And we've seen mixed results, right? Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. But it's certainly worth a try, and we'll see how it goes today.
We're talking with Padres broadcaster Bob Scanlan, who's joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Wing Banking, it's better. I think the big question on the follow-up, because, I think if you deploy this in October, I think it could have success because with days off and things mixed in and everybody's geared up for the playoffs and everybody always wants the ball in the playoffs, and you get starters that go out there like Madison Bumgarner and do some very uncharacteristic things. But, to do this for like 2 months, it seems almost unsustainable. As somebody, again, who has pitching experience, I talked about this on the morning show with Saris, of teams traditionally are like, you got to go 6 innings, or like you only get 1 inning for like a bullpen arm. What do you think about guys going 3 innings or 2 2/3 and keeping the pitch count at about 35, maybe 40 pitches? Can you use guys more often doing that? And take us through, like, from when you were a player. I know, again, different era, but is that something you think as a pitcher you can handle that kind of workload, or is this asking too much of these guys? Oh, we lost Bob for a second. Bob, I don't know if you got that last part, but do you think you could sustain this with a couple of, going instead of going 6 innings or just 1 inning like a bullpen arm, to have these guys pitch more often, but it's 3 innings or 2 2/3 or about 35 pitches? Is that something that is sustainable?
It's a different type of stress, so to speak, right? And it's just a different way of sort of training your body and preparing your body. I think for some guys you can do it, but I think the challenge becomes, by definition, you're asking more guys over the course of a game to come in and be sharp that day, right? Mm-hmm. And some days that's going to work, and you can look at it and say, wow, wasn't that great? We threw 6 different arms at their offense, and it's more difficult for their offense because they couldn't really hone in on one guy, and they never saw the same guy 2 times in a row. And sometimes that works out, and you can say, wow, that's a great strategy. But there's other times where the second guy you call on, or the third guy, or the fifth, whatever it may be, he's not sharp that day, right? And there's more likely to be days where a certain guy is not sharp, the more times you're having to go and ask on different guys to be sharp on that given day. So on those days, all of a sudden it can start to create a little bit of a landslide in terms of, well, we were hoping to get 3 innings out of this guy. He's not sharp. Now we're behind in the game, and we're going to the rest of the bullpen and asking more of those guys, and it can start a snowball effect in a negative direction for you as well. So, I think there are times where you see it and it can work. There's other times where it doesn't work. Where it doesn't work, it can really start a negative landslide in terms of putting unnecessary pressure on guys who have to then make up for innings, right? Because you don't have a starter that's just going 6 and sucking it up and giving guys the day off when they need it. So can it be done? Yeah. Are there risks involved? Yes. I think one of the key things also, if you're going to try to do that approach, Braden, is your other 2 guys who are Michael King and Walker Buehler, the 2 traditional starters that the Padres still have at this point. They have to come through on their outings. Mm-hmm. You can't have a game where Michael King is out of there in the 2nd inning, or Walker Buehler's out of there in the 3rd inning, or whatever it is. Those are the guys you really need to have quality 5-6+ inning outings. to give a little bit of a respite to that bullpen so that those guys can continue to do the other style of pitching that we've been talking about. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. That totally makes sense. I mean, if things work perfectly, all these plans are great, right? But if
exactly.
I mean, because Cazzello brought it up today on the roundtable, it's eventually you still need the guys to pitch well. If they don't pitch well, it doesn't really matter what you deploy out there. It's not going to be that successful. We only have a little bit of time left before the end of the show, Bob. I do want to ask, I mean, we're not going to have you on until after the trade deadline, but you've been around players. You've been a player yourself. Trade deadline's always, depending on where you're at and where you're at in your career, it has a different meaning for a lot of guys. What's been your experience with the trade deadline? How difficult is it for players, or do they understand the business to an extent?
It's totally by individual, Braden. There's certain guys that get it, they understand it, they've been through it before, they were traded in the minor leagues or whatever it may be, and they've been emotionally exposed to it and are fine with it. And there's other guys, quite frankly, that don't handle it well at all. And that's just, human nature, right? Some people are going to handle change better than others. And there's certainly players who it's on their mind and they're wondering, more so I would think on a team that's not a contender and you're the name that keeps coming up as the piece that's going to get traded away, right? In this clubhouse for the Padres, there's not a whole lot of guys that are in that situation. Are there a bunch of guys who can potentially be moved because their contracts are up? Like, Michael King has an opt-out, Morejon's a free agent at the end of the year, as is Buehler, Ty France, Miguel Andujar. So there's plenty of guys who the organization can look at and justify saying, well, we're going to lose them at the end of the season anyway. Let's try to get something for them. But this is a team that's in the hunt to get to the postseason. They're a game and a half out of the wild card now. The teams ahead of them are not playing good baseball. Your offense is starting to play better. It looks like a situation where you're going to try to add and improve this ball club. At least that's the sense at this point. So I don't think there's a lot of stress about that in this particular clubhouse. But to your initial question, some guys can handle it, and there's other guys that it's hanging over their head as much as they'll tell you, oh, no, I don't think about it at all. Yeah, you know what? They're thinking about it.
Yeah.
So it goes individual basis, guy by guy.
I mean, I can't believe what it's probably like in the minor leagues of a San Diego Padres organization affiliate at this point with the way the trade deadline has been. Bob, we appreciate the time. We'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, Braden.
Bob Scanlan joining us, the SCCU Fan Hotline. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. Signing off. Passing on to Gwen and Chris. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow, hopefully after a Padres win.